Hello, world. It's No Brainer. I'm Zach, your hostess with the mostest, and I'm not a cupcake, so I'm not really a hostess. And my sidekick, my compadre, my brohim, D Rex. What up, D Rex?
Yo, I got two issues with your intro already, and I want to be objective. First, I graduated from Sidekick, okay, from PNB to NB, so we are co-hosts, my friend. You're just
Oh, you know, my
listen,
my fault.
listen.
My fault. My
You're the
fault.
boss. You're the boss. Big Zach, Papa, Daddy Zach. You're the
Big
boss.
Daddy Zach.
Well,
Today I'm actually ziggity Zach.
that was my second thorn in my side. Was that I thought we had set alias. Is it alias or
Alias.
alias? Thank you. I thought we had set aliases where I could
Aliases.
be D-Rec and you were supposed to be Z.
Big Daddy Zach.
Big Daddy Zach. So now you're Ziggity Zach.
I'm just being funny today.
You are being goofy today.
I am. I'm really slap happy tonight. But listen, we got a very special guest tonight.
We do.
It's me,
It's going to be you.
D Rex. We're gonna do something fun tonight. Our guest. I have a couple guests lined up for the future, but my coach was supposed to be on, and he's in the middle of working on something, and so he said he can't do anything until April. But I did button him down yesterday when I was in my session, and he said, "Dude, I'm coming on your show. It's just won't be till April." So we'll have my coach on, which is going to be a lot of fun. He's a great guy, and of course we're going to have our very good friend Daniel Quijano on, and he's dude. I'm just so busy. You don't even understand. He hasn't even responded or read my WhatsApp that I sent him, so he's just too busy. So whatever, Daniel.
I think Daniel's too big for us right now, and that's okay.
Oh, don't believe the hype. The only thing big on Daniel is his head because he's got an ego that makes my ego look normal.
But the good thing is, we can have Daniel on the show at some point.
We will,
and
we're also going to have.
And I'm not being derogatory when I say someone's too big for us. I don't say that derogatorily because the spirit of empathy says you have 100,000 subs and someone with a brand new channel comes to you to be, to interview you, and you say, "Is that what I should be doing right now?" And of course, if your schedule's clear, why not, right? But if it's booked, it's booked, and so.
Well, I've got a very
full sense of professionalism and business sense.
I get it. I've got a very famous podcaster, Adam Shubley, who said he would do our show, but he could only do it during the day because he records and does his stuff at night. Mm-hmm. So me and you are going to have to figure out a day when we can slack and hide from work and do a quick show with him because when you meet him, you're going to love him. He's a fun guy.
Well, you shouldn't be. Don't think about me when you're scheduling that because remember, my schedule is wonky wiggity.
Ziggity.
Yeah. So, for example, like if I have an open calendar slot Tuesday at noon and we do a 2-hour podcast, then we do. And then I do what I would have done there. Maybe let's see those guns. I do what I would have done there at 5 or 6 or 7 or 8. It doesn't matter to me. As long as it's, here's my rule. If you're trying to get me within the next day or two, my availability is 0. If you're trying to get me 2 weeks or further out, my availability is pretty much 100. Like I always just make sure everything is scheduled, structured, and planned, so I don't have to like shortchange people or, oh, you're a priority, you're not. It just is what it is. So I think that I think as long as we do that, you and I could, we both have flexible careers. We can definitely.
Hopefully, we'll even have a more flexible one here soon. And then I have a very good friend who is a stand-up comedian who's gotten a little big. He's big. He's good. Jacoby Ray. And he's like, "Dude, I can do your show for 30 minutes." And I was like, "No, we have a 2-hour show." He's like, "No, then you got to book through my agent and I sign a contract." And I was like, "All right, dig it. I'm going to do it. I just want to make sure we got enough people following us and then I'm gonna shoot for the stars because I'm gonna get your girlfriend on here one of these days.
You can get a 30-minute slot with him, and then
no, I can get a 2-hour slot. I just got to book through. We probably have to pay for it, which is fine. I don't care. He's the when I bring him on, it's going to be a very monumental Not that our guests we have had have not been monumental. They're all amazing. But when he's dude, he's just you think I'm silly retarded? Like he's freaking me and him are just gonna be clowning the whole time. I don't know if you're even gonna get a word in edgewise. We're just gonna be
That's fantastic. I think.
chopping it up. And then I'm gonna try and get your girlfriend on here.
Oh yeah, that would be quite an animated show.
You know she's British too, right?
When I hear the accent, that I do draw that conclusion.
Oh,
Yes.
I didn't know if you ever heard her talk. I know you've seen her. I
Yes,
didn't know
I've
if you heard her
heard
talk.
her.
Oh, she's awesome. But like
Extremely animated.
you think I'm animated and high power?
Nope,
Like
not compared to her.
yeah, no. I don't even know if I'd get up on stage and try and compete with that cuz dude, she's a rock star.
Well, she's going to have a
I would have to
very structured contract as well, and I'm sure I have to.
yeah. Yeah. But she did when I saw her
done.
last at the show and I saw her, she said she would I mean, I'm sure she told everybody she'd come on, but I don't know. Maybe she would. I mean, me and her talked for a while. She's cool. She's good
My
people.
point is, if you can get,
I'm not going to say her name because I don't want to get people all excited, and then I'm clickbaiting. I don't clickbait.
But my point is, if you can get someone for 30 minutes and review their contract, you can at that point make a decision if it's a not now but future or now.
Right.
If you can get 30 minutes now and that contract says it's going to be 20 grand for 2 hours, let's say it's Emmett Smith. You might say absolutely in the future, but by the time that future comes, you have 2 million subscribers. They might, at that point when you're big enough too, like the pay isn't really necessary because the publicity is what pays. So
right.
So anyway, it's new. We'll discover it. All be great. Just dive in.
I'm excited because guys, the show is taking off. We are going in directions we really want to go in, which is talking to people everyday people or famous people or not famous people. It doesn't matter. We're talking to people who do things and who've got mindsets that are hopefully going to lock in your mindset. And you might hear somebody one night we're interviewing, like Dr. Dan the last 2 weeks ago. We took a week off because I had COVID, guys. So that's why I weren't here. I couldn't talk for more than 2 minutes without having a coughing attack. My wife gave it to me. Thank you, love of my life. Thank you, La. But when
is that really why we didn't do it last week? I think we would have done it if we had everything kind of like
I don't know. I was having trouble. Like at work, I'm supposed to record a lot of my sales sessions. Yeah. We have this new app, which I've actually. Everybody likes mine because I turn it into a clown show. They know that I know that I'm being recorded, so I put on a show for it, and everybody who listens to it, like, dude, it's hilarious. We just wait to hear what you're going to say next because you say ridiculous things.
Are you allowed to play one of those recordings?
Well, I do ask the customer for permission. I don't know. I'd have to let me find out. I don't know contractually if I'm allowed to play. That might be a legal thing because my company owns it, and that's why I really, to be honest with you, they thought I was joking, but I said no. I don't want to be recorded because my Zach is I'm not copyrighted, but technically my sales technique is mine. I don't want people to try and be me or but if it helps somebody, I guess, in the long run, I understand because I do like to train and help. And
you got to remember too, your sales technique isn't just technique, it's also Zach. And so when you give it to someone else and you make them better, they're never going to be better than you because your technique is you plus Zach. So if their technique is if their pitch is your technique plus them, they're going to be the best of them.
Right.
But it can't be exactly like yours because the technique might be the script, but the Zach is the Zach, how it comes out. So
right. And I agree with you on that. And I'll never forget, I was a general manager long time ago, and one of my customers, guests, whatever they were, I don't remember, it came in, and it was Valentine's Day weekend, and their daughters were there with them, and I was running a hotel. This is years ago. I left the car business for a little while. I dabbled in hospitality. When the car business would go in the tank, I read, like, back in the day, I could read the algorithms of the car business, and I knew when it was going to go in the crapper. And I would bail and go make money somewhere else. And then when I saw it was on the job, I wish I had that ability to read the stock market, but whatever. Um, so anyway, this couple came in and they were with their daughters, and it was Valentine's Day, and their one daughter was like my age, and I said to the dad, I was like, well, if she doesn't have a Valentine's date, I'm always available. And they
Steve,
all laugh and they're like, hey, maybe we'll go out to dinner with you, whatever, blah, 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 right? They walk away, and two of my coworkers were like, dude, I said, what? They're like, the things you say to people would get us punched in the face, but people love you, so they laugh at you. I said, or are they scared of me? No, I'm just kidding. Nobody's scared of me. But, but it's true. There's things I can say to people that probably most people get punched in the face for saying.
well,
And
that's who
and if when we get into our discussion this evening about sales and
we're
techniques and
into it
stuff.
already, by the way.
Oh, perfect. Well, one of my favorite things I've done this a couple times in the car business. So a lot of you, let me go into my background a little bit. I wanted to, I was in high school and I wanted to be a Dallas Cowboy.
Cheerleader?
Yeah, probably, because when I actually worked for the Dallas Cowboys, I realized I was nowhere near big enough to play for the Cowboys. Good Lord, them dudes were monsters. I mean, like their kicker was bigger than me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not a small guy. I'm 6'2", 200 and
The
plus
kicker's
pounds.
legs as big as your waist.
Back in the day, I was pretty big. Um, but anyway, I joke. I was a good football player, but I was not going to play for the Cowboys. And so I wanted to go in law enforcement, and then I realized that was not the career. Because I want to help people, but I don't want to get shot for helping somebody, which nowadays you never know. Anyway, I got into the car business on mistake. I say that my uncle owned a car dealership. I've been around it all my life. My friends are all motorheads, and I've just been around it, and I know how to talk. And I got into it. My friend's dad owned a dealership, and he's like, "Why don't you come try it out?" He's like, "I'm going to let you work at my Toyota store. They'll train you to become the best salesperson, so you know how to do walkarounds, blah 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 blah. You know what I'm saying? You learn all the Toyota dealerships are very, very, very training stores. They mold you to be the car salesperson.
Coming from automotive supply and dealing with Japanese suppliers, yes, I know.
Yeah. Like they
Same.
have walk around competitions and make like stupid money on these competitions. I never was into that. I didn't care. Because what's that? It's a motor. I don't really know. I'm not a mechanic. Do I look like a mechanic? But anyway, so I went over to the other dealership, and then that's when I got into the car business. And I'll never forget. First time I sold my first used car, and this is where my love for used cars came in. Many people don't know this. I hope you guys know this. Take this down if you're looking for a car. New cars, you think you're going to get the best deals on. There's no markup in used cars. Maybe if it's a freaking Raptor or a Lamborghini or Mercedes, something like that. There's money in it. But the majority of the regular ho-hum cars that everybody buys, as I like to call iron sleds, Fords, Chevys, all that stuff, you got maybe $900 to $1,100 markup. And they get rid of it right away, and they drop their draws. They sell it to you at holdback and everything else because they're looking for volume. Most new car dealerships are looking for volume. Used cars, if there's not at least minimum of $4,500 to $5,000 markup in it, it wasn't on my lot. Now, this is 20 years later when I learned the business, obviously. So I remember selling my first used car. It was a Chevy Cavalier Z24 two-door, 1992 or 3, I don't remember. And this was 94. So yeah, it was like a 91, 92, something like that. It was pre-airbags, and the mom was very worried about that. So I sold an upgrade package of putting airbags in the car. That's when you now they're in every car, obviously. There's 12 airbags in every car. And anyway, I remember getting my check just for that car. I made what most people make even today in 1 week. I made in 2 hours worth of a sale. So that's where I was like, oh, I know the route I'm going. I want to be the used car guy. And so Mr. Judge, he was the owner of the dealership, comes over one Saturday and he said, Zach, what do you think? I was like, I love it. This is cool. I get to talk to people. I get to hang out. You know, the old car analogy, you know, we drink coffee, smoke cigarettes, and lie about what we did the night before. I mean, that was life in the car business. And so I I actually told him, I said, though, I said, but that guy right there, I want to be him. And he goes, Pete. I said, yeah. He goes, Pete, come here. Zach wants to be you. Take him under your wing and teach him. Pete was the used car manager. And so I learned everything. Pete was the guy. We had to wear jackets and ties and everything. This is up in Jersey. I think it's probably the same in Michigan. In the winter, they wear jackets and ties. In summers, we had to wear polos and dress pants, right? Down here, you don't wear jackets and ties. It's just too friggin' hot.
Yeah, I mean, it's culturally, it's a little more casual now. You would probably have that polo pretty much year round with your dealership jacket with your logo. You know, it's
Yeah.
everything has become more
Well,
casual.
I worked at so I was at a Toyota store, and then I came over. I was at a Chevy Geo Oldsmobile store, and
Geo.
Oldsmobile back then was the older your dad's car. It was the rich man, not the rich guy, but the upper blue collar, you know.
Yep. Yep.
And Pontiac, Oldsmobile, GMC. And we wore jackets and ties in the winter and polos in the summer. Or we had to wear a sweater. If we could not have just a shirt and tie on, it had to be a sweater or a jacket. And Pete walks through the showroom every day. He's in jeans and a polo. And I was like, I want to. So it was because he was going to the auction all the time. And I was like, I want to be that dude. So Pete took me under his wing and I learned the used car business. And man, you learn some slick. Look, I'm not a used car salesman. I am not that guy. I can say some of those used car lines, but I don't have to. One of the things I learned very, very fast is I don't need to lie to sell a car. Profit is not a scary word. Profit is not a bad word. Profit's not a curse word. That's how I make a living, you know? And people used to be like, what's this dealer fee? I said, that's how we keep the lights on. It's how we stay in business. You know, it's profit.
It's
Well, I'm not
overhead.
paying. Then you don't do business here. I mean, literally, I tell people you're not paying for the dealer fee, then I go out of business. So, and it's illegal because everybody's dealer fee is imprinted onto their uh, sales addendum sheet, and you can't take it off. It's against the law because if
So
you take it off
where
for one
so
person,
so so you mentioned something really critical in saying that I don't have to lie to sell a car. So what that identifies is I have belief in what I do.
yes.
One of the biggest thing, and I struggle with this. This is crazy, right? So I
And
sell
I
like
would literally throw you out of the dealership. Didn't matter when I was in sales or management. If you called me a liar or a crook, I would throw you out and tell you to take your business elsewhere because
But
that's not
listen,
how
I
I
want I
work.
want to learn something from you, and maybe the audience can too, because I'm in life insurance and financial. So belief is one of the largest factors to closing deals, writing business, painting a picture of the importance or what something does for you. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I own, I don't know, five, six, or seven of my own products, which is that's a little absurd. I would say most agents own two, three,
Oh,
or
you mean you own it as yourself personally?
policies on myself,
Yeah, on your
policy on my
wife.
wife,
Sure.
annuity,
Why wouldn't you?
IUL.
Do you believe in the product?
If I own that, then the obvious answer is yes.
So then
Because
exactly.
I know that financially I'm better off dead. Not better off dead, but financially I'm better off dead. And that's the purpose of that's the purpose of the product because she is, okay?
Yes. Why
Despite
do you think
that,
my wife has such a big policy on me?
probably because that at some point there's a plan to dump you out back, but I won't talk about that tonight. Um,
Why? That's why Boz and Prince keep digging those holes in the backyard.
you got it.
I keep filling
Um,
them in. Stupid dog.
so I have about as much belief in what I do is what's possible,
Hmm.
but I cannot convey that worth crap to people. I think when people say I have a budget issue or I have to me, I think that's legitimate. And to me, with my own products, I don't think about that because it's so important that even it might cost something, it's like I would rather go bankrupt than not have this.
So
That's how important it is. But conveying that to other people is a skill of being able to paint a picture, peel back the onion of pain, tell a story, and connect in your belly with what you believe to be true, and you have that. So tell me the exact ways you have all of that right now so that I can improve in 10 minutes. Go. I'm timing you. Go.
Yeah.
You have 1 hour and 40 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? So,
Yes.
so,
And
so
and
let me help
so
you
so
answer. If you go back to when you said, I love used car sales because I didn't have to lie to sell a car.
that's right.
So you believe it.
Hey, look, if it's a piece of crap, I'm gonna tell you it's a piece of crap. If
But
it's
there's
what she
people
could,
who want a
but
piece of crap because it's cheap and they
or
don't mind fixing it.
or it's because what they can afford,
Yeah.
right? So you have to, you know, one of the things they try to teach you is, all right, I walk on the lot and I want to look at a Supra. Supra's I don't even know how much they are nowadays, but let's just say back in the day they were $25,000, which in the late 80s, early 90s was a lot of money.
Yep. That's probably inflation
I'm
adjusted.
most of the sales guys are going to take you out to a Tercel or Corolla on the way out there and just show you and make it hurt. Well, I don't have to do that. Why? If you don't got the dough, you're not wasting my time. But you know, we're not there's so many ways to like dig this up.
That's a
So
good conflicting point. Okay. They're
so
saying
here's
they're not
here's
going to waive.
here's
They have a valid point when they say, I'm not going to. People only want what they can't have. That's what I learned.
mm,
If they truly can't have that and you show it to them, you'll never show them. You won't sell them on anything lower.
right.
If they truly can't have that and you show them, then they won't waste your time. So
Or they figure out a way to have it.
is it better to sell 10 Supras a month without anyone wasting your time, or 2 Supras and 25 Tercels with the people who would have been wasting your time initially with the Supra ended up buying the Tercel because they didn't have the candy waved in front of your face? I think there's an argument to both sides. So tell me why you are the guy who'd rather sell 10 Supras and 0 Tercels.
Because I'm going to be the guy who goes, well, we can't afford a new Supra, so let's go over on the used car lot because we just got winning on a trade that I can make you a great deal on and save you a ton of money.
Okay,
And then
that's
guess who just
valid.
fat in their pocket,
That's a valid point.
right? So okay, I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you a story. I haven't. We don't broadcast this. We don't because people kind of. The last show we did, we talked about the imposter syndrome.
With Abby.
So Saturday, we kind of, me and Lorian got a little imposter syndrome. We took my truck, and if you don't know, I drive a 2500 GMC AT4 diesel that stickered at like 98,000. I stole it, so
Make sure everyone knows.
I did. I stole that baby. I should have wore a gun. I went to my friend's dealership and I just got a heck of a deal. I bought it for what they own it for. So anyway, it's not new. So that's the other thing too. And then Lorianne drives a 2024 Bronco Outer Banks Sasquatch package. Nice, very nice truck. So we took it to the dealership Saturday for its first oil change. She just barely has 5,000 miles on it. Actually, we're early. The oil change isn't supposed to be done until 10,000 miles, but Lorianne's like, no, I want it at 5,000. Oh, whatever, dude. It's synthetic oil. We don't have to do it, but okay.
Well, it is about the filter at that point.
7,500, which actually would have been the magic number. But anyway, we went to the dealership. We get there. I walk in the showroom, and my salesman's sitting there. Well, my salesman had just told me the week prior that he was leaving because he got offered a general manager position in a different, not even in the car business, in a different business. And he was leaving, but he would let the GM know we were coming and blah, blah, blah. And I said, what the heck are you doing here? And he was on the phone. He just said, give me a minute. He gets up, gives me a hug and says, where's your wife? I said, she's outside. And so I open the door. I go, Lorianne, someone's here to see you. And she thought it was the general manager, but it wasn't. It was our salesman. And she's like, what are you doing here, Brad? And Brad's like, come on, let's go for a walk. So we go for a walk, and he's explaining to us they actually promoted him, and I won't go into that because I don't know if it's been announced, and I don't need anybody to know. Anyway, and as we're walking, we're walking through the parking lot, and All of a sudden, we're standing in front of an identical Bronco to my wife's, except it's the Raptor. It's electric blue, same color as Lorianne's, but it's the Raptor. So if you don't know what the difference is.
I don't know what the difference is.
Okay, Lorianne's got the Sasquatch package, so it's got bigger tires. Hers has the 32s on it. It's got a little bit of a lift. It's got a lot of fancy bells
Ain't
and whistles.
losing 32s, man.
It's a beautiful truck. The Raptor has 38s. It's built for Baja racing. It's got independent four wheels, so it climbs over rocks anyway, it's got like 400 and something horsepower engine, and it's a twin turbo 3.0. It's a totally different truck, but looks the same. It's wider, so they actually have to put 3 orange lights on it, because if truck's over a certain width, they have to have either lights on the roof or lights on the grill, so people know how wide it is. They don't think it's 2 cars. And it just sits there, and it's a gorgeous truck. And we're walking around the truck, and he's like, "What do you guys think?" And I'm like, "Dude, it's beautiful. What do you mean? What do I think?" And Lorianne goes, "Yeah, Brad, it's amazing. And the window sticker's $102,000." And he's like, "I know." He's like, "But what do you think?" And she's like, "Well, it's my dream truck. Why wouldn't I love it? Right?" He's like, "Well, let's go for a ride." We're like, "No." She's like, "Why are you doing this, Brad?" He's like, "Just come on, let's go for a ride." Anyway, long story short, we go for a ride. This thing is amazing. Like, when you pull up to lights as you're slowing down, it automatically revs up so that the gear doesn't shift, it bangs, it just I mean, it's really cool. It has a rumble that like will wake the neighbors up. It's just an amazing truck. We go out for a ride. He takes us down by the water, because the dealership's out by the ocean.
Wait, you let him take you for a ride in it?
No, she was driving. Lorianne was driving.
You let him seduce you into test driving, test driving a vehicle.
So we
Even though
get
you
back, and
got a
he
new
goes,
vehicle.
"So what'd you guys think?" And I was like, "Dude, what's there not to think? It's amazing, but it's $102,000." He goes, "Well, Oliver and I were talking, and this just happened to come in, and we know that this is her color, her favorite color, and everything."
Jeez.
Long story short, he done sold me, but I'm actually a lay down. So I don't tell a lot of people that, but I'm a lay down. If I want something, I'm a lay down. If I don't, you're not selling me. You can't close me unless I want to be closed. He goes,
I
"We're
almost
gonna
said
give
that's what
you."
she said, but keep going.
She did. That's how she got me. What do you think? I was a lay down.
So you basically you let him allow you to talk into rationale about why you would love the vehicle. I mean, you just
So,
walk. You're a sales guy, and you're letting someone
but I'm
walk
explaining to
into
you
a
that what he
sale.
was doing is what I do. Okay. Anyway, we get back, and he goes, "What if I give you a ridiculous amount for your car and take a ridiculous amount of money off this thing?" I go, "Well, what's ridiculous? You have to blow my socks off." Long story short, we bought the truck for X amount of dollars. He offered us $3,000 less than what we paid for it, and took $30,000 off the other truck, which was a $20,000 difference. So guess who has a Raptor parked in their driveway?
Time out. I thought you said you got imposter syndrome and you gave into it.
We bought the truck. No, we got imposter syndrome driving home going, "Dude, why are we driving a $100,000 truck?"
Yeah, you're going to regret that. It won't be for like 2 or 3 years, but eventually you'll be like, I don't know.
You know how much that truck's going to be worth in 2 or 3 years?
Probably more.
Go look up a Raptor online right now. Go look at a 2020 with 60,000 miles on it. It's still $80,000. So, anyway, long story short, we did not pay cash. We didn't have that kind of cash. We did finance it only because we need to finance. We own everything. We don't finance, so we needed to start building a little credit. So we took out a little loan, and anyway, long story short, Lorianne got a Raptor. So that's how it was done.
Congratulations. So what did you get for hers? What did you get to trade hers in?
Window sticker on hers was 63.5.
What do you mean at current value or when she got it?
No. When we bought it, it was 63.5.
Okay, so what's the residual value right now with 5,000 miles?
He gave us 60.
What year is it?
2024.
Ford Bronco
Outer Banks,
Sasquatch.
Outer Banks, Sasquatch. You gonna beat me up on my own deal?
No, I'm just curious. Like, I just want to see, like, okay, I see the Raptor with those big fat tires. I see, yeah, he gave you a good deal. I mean, because I see Auto Trader and Carfax 6,000 mile ones from 56 to 59, so he gave you a little bit. Because he made money off the Raptor. Like, they got to make money off one of the transactions, right? Like you talked about. You know, when we bought the vet for the shop and I sold them my 2 leases, they made nothing on the vet because it was going to go to auction. They made money by not giving me as much equity on my leases because they knew they were going to sell my Lexus for a boatload of money, which they did because it was beautiful, like untouched for 2.5 years. So they,
yeah, I saw your Lexus when you came over. Was it Thanksgiving you came over?
Yeah.
Oh, look, my wife's boyfriend's calling. Potential spam. You can go to mail.
But my point is, they made money off those.
So let me finish.
So he made money off your
so
new
vehicle. I got 60 for my truck. Window sticker on the Raptor is 102.
Yep.
They sold it to us for 70.
That makes no sense.
Because it's a 2024. There's major rebates. The 25s are coming in. They have to get them off their lot. And it's growing dust on it.
That is huge. I'm seeing the picture you sent me. Well, I honestly no. Okay, so imposter syndrome and regret comes when you pay too much.
Well, I don't know that I should say I paid too much. It's just
you let me finish. I'm saying you didn't pay too much. You got a great deal. I mean, I agree. If you want to drive your Bentley and it's not 380 grand, it's only 80 grand. I don't think you're going to feel guilty about it.
Well, but Lorianne was driving home and felt who am I to drive this $100,000 truck?
Well, it's not about being 100 grand. It's about the fact that you upgraded for very little at all.
That was what I was saying. So my salesman did us right because he knows we're going to come back and I'm going to send people there.
Well, he just knew, sure, but he knew the opportunity was perfectly fitting for you right then and there without having to feel like he's taking advantage of you.
Right.
Like he knew that and he's like, dude, I could literally make a couple bucks off this and theirs and put them in the same better vehicle for hardly anything different.
Yeah, and like I said, we needed to finance stuff because we don't have anything financed. Everything we own is paid for.
Yeah,
we took out a little loan, and what bank wouldn't jump all over it? The equity alone, they're chomping at the bits, hoping we default. Never going to happen. I'll work 47 jobs before that happens.
Yeah,
they will never get my wife's truck. I'll have it paid off in 20 months, if not sooner.
That's pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah, we took out a 60-month loan. We're just going to double every payment, so pay it off in as quick as I possibly can. They will not get it. They'll not get interest out of me. No, they will probably a little bit, but it is what it is.
Yeah, but
so do you see the difference between the two? The second picture I just sent you?
Yeah.
That's hers.
The Raptor is much wider than the
right, but hers is the trade-in on the right, and the Raptor's the one on the left.
Obviously, Zach.
No, but I'm saying they're the identical color, everything. That's the only reason why she did it. If it had been a different color, she probably wouldn't have done it.
It's funny too because hers has Bronco across the front, and the new one
and the Raptors say Ford. Ford actually, when you turn it on, it says Ford Performance. I was driving it the other day. I'm going to get in trouble on that. It's if I put it in sport mode, it's a rocket ship.
It looks
I'd
amazing.
I'd like to get a Raptor actually.
Well,
I'm
tell
looking
her
at
congratulations. Like, I don't think it's something to feel bad about at all.
no, she's over that. Although she she does she's like she's a school teacher, so she pulls up and I'm sure people are like, look at a school teacher driving $100,000 Raptor. They don't know the backstory, so that's okay.
Well, yeah, that doesn't matter.
No, and let people. I said, who cares what people think? So that's the other way. That's a huge self sales thing. Okay, three things I want to give to you. Okay, never lie to sell your product. Believe in your product. If you don't believe in it, don't sell it. Okay. I've worked for dealerships that I didn't believe in the dealership because they were scumbags, so I wouldn't work there. I could have made
True.
tons and tons and tons of money at this one dealership. And I was actually offered a used car management position. And my friend was a manager there. And I kept calling him, dude, when am I supposed to come in for training? What's going on? And I finally called him one day and he's like, dude, you don't want to work here. I said, why? He goes, the IRS just came in and shut us down for tax evasion. So the dealership, I was like, man, I'm glad my name wasn't attached to that place. That would have been bad. So love what you sell, believe in it, love it, and just, do that. Believe in yourself 100%. But the biggest thing that I can give to a salesperson is salespeople like to talk. I'm a talker. I have learned I have to be more of a listener. Let the people talk about themselves. You'll learn everything you need to know by them. The minute you start asking them things, they're going to spill their guts and tell you everything.
The person in control of the conversation is the person asking the questions.
Correct.
So sales is two things. It is telling your story very personably, very animated, that connects to something that can connect to anyone. And then it's doing all of the questioning and listening.
Also, being a chameleon.
Yes, like tonality matching.
No, you're from Michigan. So, I can tell you stories. I've been to every state in America except for Alaska and Hawaii. I have a story about every state. I can talk about. So I can slide into, but yeah, and also like when I used to run the dealership over in Leesburg, I had a different clientele there. It was a lot of good old boys and a lot of and some and my black folk, the hood folk, right? Not all black people are hood. But these guys who live in Leesburg, if anybody knows Leesburg, that's the hood.
So,
and I mean, I had my dope dealers, right? I talked their lingo. I would slide right into it, and they immediately would start laughing, and I was the crazy white boy. They all loved me, right? And I had one guy, he was a dope dealer, and I'd be like, "What do you do for a living?" He goes, "I'm an entrepreneur." I said, "Oh, you're a street pharmacist." He's like, "I like that." He's like, "You get me." I was like, "Dude, your money's green. I don't care where you get it from. Just don't be selling stuff that kills kids." He said, "No, man, I sell weed." I said, "Okay, then I don't care. You sell fentanyl, I'm throwing you out by your your neck." But because I don't want to touch your money, because you never know, something might be on there. But then let's go to the flip side. I have worked at luxury high-end dealerships. So in 2005, I went home to live with my mom in Jersey after my dad passed away, and I wanted to go help her. Mom was going through the widow. I'm selling everything. I'm moving. So I said, let's settle down, crazy lady, before you get smacked. And I'm coming up there to take care of you. So I moved up, and my friend's mom owned a dealership. My boy Andy, his mom owned a Saab BMW store, and I went in as the assistant used car manager there, which was basically a glorified title so they could give me a demo and a salary. That's the only reason they did that. And actually, I would log in cars, and I didn't I didn't go to the auction or do trades, or I mean, I did do trade values, but whatever. And that clientele is way different than the buy here, pay here clientele, obviously. But you treat everybody the same. Okay. I don't care if you're buy here, pay here. I don't care if you make $300 million a year. I'm going to treat you the same. I'm not treating you differently than I'm treating the guy who makes $25,000 a year.
right.
Your money's golden. It doesn't matter to me.
Not in terms of human rights and civility. You treat everyone the same, janitor, CEO. In terms of
Yep.
chameleon, I would say tonality, matching tonality to some extent, and then also what you said about finding what you were trying to say, I think, is finding a relatable aspect to build the rapport. For example, in life
Commonality.
insurance, well, in life insurance, the reason why I picked the states I currently am licensed in is because I have, well, one, they're like good income, not super, they're just good volume, high income, low cost states. That's one thing. But the other thing is I have a connection to every state that I picked. Like I
Right.
have Ohio because my sister used to live in Cincinnati and I used to go to Columbus for business all the time. So anybody in Southern Ohio, I can start talking to them about, yeah, my sister lived across the river from the Painted Ladies in the Ohio River Valley. And they're like, oh, no way. I lived. And then like Michigan, obviously I was born there. Florida, I obviously lived there. And then Maryland and Virginia. Virginia, my wife always goes to Virginia Beach in Norfolk. And then I don't know why I picked Maryland. I don't know. There's something to do with DC or something. But my point is, it's pretty simple for whenever like I talk to a client in my business and I see their address, I look up their city in that state, and then I'm like, where have I been around there? What have I done around there? What do I know about that? And then like I just, in that first few sentences, I try to like make a connector right away, and then it's a little easier. I just talked to a couple from Middleville, Michigan, right? And Middleville was south of Grand Rapids, like 45 minutes. We used to play them in football in high school. They knew exactly where I went to high school. They were shocked. They knew everything about the school, whatever. Easy connection. We have a meeting tomorrow. So chameleon to me is yes, matching tonality. Yes, creating human and civil consistency. Yes, meeting where they are at in terms of what they do, and then finding a rapport connector point to begin building the trust.
Sure. Also, you know what people love talking about more than anything else?
Themselves.
No, their pets.
Well, okay, yeah, sure, but everyone's
If they
favorite
if they're
favorite word is
dog
their own name.
if they're dog people, we're sharing pictures and everything. I've shared more pictures of my pets than I've of my grandkids. You know what I'm saying? It's it's funny.
That's shameful of you.
Well, people don't talk about. I mean, I'll mention I have grandkids, but they want to see my dogs,
But they don't
especially
really
when they
care
find
about
out.
your grandkids per se as people, whereas the dogs are easier to relate to because they're
Well,
just.
as soon as they hear I've got big dog, everybody wants to see the big, the Mastiff or the
They want
Rottie
to
or
see
whatever.
what?
The Mastiff, the
The
Mastiff,
big dog, the big
the big
dog.
dog. Yeah, I share the big dog. Well, also, but when I was in training, I've been in sales training for many years. One of the things I like to get across is salespeople can talk themselves out of a sale.
They do all the time.
If you share too much technical stuff, you bore people. Unless you have a technical person, you have to know your audience. So, one of my toughest sales for me is an engineer, because engineers are very type, they're almost flatline personality.
Those are the people you use logic instead of emotion, but most people
Correct.
use emotion with.
Correct.
And
I
the
can
reason
look.
why I suck at sales is because I use logic. Because when I decide I want to buy into something emotionally, I've already bought it. Now I'm just putting together all the math.
Well,
And
what
as
you
soon
have
as
to
the math
do,
matches, I strike like a banshee immediately, aggressively, and get it done that day.
what you have to do is read your client. If you see they're an emotional buyer, stop with the logic because you bored them. If you start selling me and you start talking to me logically, I could care less what you're selling now. I don't even care anymore. So one of the biggest things, the biggest turnoffs to me about the new car industry when I first got into it was the walkarounds. It was boring. I could care less about how many airbags and how many freaking RPMs the freaking torque converter, flux capacitor, and your whatever does whatever.
It's flux capacitor.
I'll throw that in too when I do a walk around. No, I don't care. Okay. I'm going to go over safe. Look, if I've got a mom and she's got kids, of course I'm going to touch on safety features. right? But I'm not talking to mom about a motor. They don't care what's under the hood. They don't even care where the oil is. I'm going to show them where the dipstick is. Look, it's yellow
Dude,
now. It's
dude,
very cool.
are you trying to talk like sexually third person?
No, 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 no,
You
no,
don't
no.
care.
This
They
is
don't care what's under the hood. You're gonna show them what
I
the dipstick is.
100% can guarantee it unless they're a car chick. And I've gotten those, and then I let them tell me about the car, and I let them feel like they're in power because they allegedly know more than me. They don't,
Yes.
but it's
Oh yeah,
okay,
yeah, yep,
right?
exactly,
But
exactly.
if you get a guy like me, I'm a bottom numbers guy. I'm all cool about the vehicle. I already know what car I want.
Yep,
If I'm going to go shopping right now, say I'm going to go buy a car tomorrow,
yep.
I know exactly what I'm going to buy and what I want. When I went and bought my truck, I went to buy a GMC AT4. I didn't know I was going to get a 2500. I got lucky because it was a deal. I was out there looking at the 1500 diesel that they have, but I
Mhm.
knew I wanted a GMC AT4. I wanted a sunroof. I wanted leather. I wanted the tonneau cover, and it became everything else was already standard that I wanted. There was no pitching me. You didn't have to sell me on it. I knew the truck. Okay. I just got lucky and happened to get a diesel 2500, which is way more truck than I ever needed. But that being said, there are some people who aren't like that. And you do have to hold their hand and take them out for a walk. But majority of car shoppers, and I'm not the majority of shoppers today are very, very knowledgeable because of the internet. Okay. When I was looking for my podcast studio, I went to the podcast show. I looked at different things there, got some ideas, got some pointers and tips, talked to a friend who has his own podcast, Daniel Quijano, who was supposed to be here tonight, but he's a jerk.
Stop plugging him for free.
I'm going to plug him right in the side of the head. No, me and
There
him were
you
talking
go.
last night. He's busy tonight. Anyway, but I talked to him about it and he showed me what he have. Now Daniel's a different kind of animal. This is the Shure mic. This is the just the only thing. If you're getting into podcasting, this is all you need. This is you don't need. He goes up to the Joe Rogan Shure mic. You know, it costs like $1,100. My mic was, I bought two of them for $400. Whatever. So
Someday.
yeah, someday I don't need it. No, the mic is fine. I looked at the different boards. I knew which board I wanted.
You also
Um,
did not need a Raptor Bronco because the Sasquatch was fine,
I didn't need it, but my wife did.
but no one needed it.
Yeah, we
The
did.
point is, it made sense. When you have a million subs and this is your career, the Joe Rogan mic will make sense.
It's the same mic. I've done the research. It's
That's the
just
guy whose dream car is a Bentley Continental. Really?
GT. Say it. Bentley Continental
Whatever.
GT. Got to say it. Say it all
GT.
the way. Not the convertible, not the GTC, just the GT. I don't buy convertibles because why? Because I'm white and I catch fire. I look like Hades from Hercules. Yeah. Well, but let me explain why the Bentley Continental GT is my favorite car. I've been in the car business for almost 30 years. I've driven every car. I've driven Ferraris, Lamborghinis, Porsches, Audis, jalopies, Jeeps, trucks, everything. They're all tin sleds, iron sleds, whatever you want to call them. The Bentley Continental GT was the only car I got into that actually just blew my socks off. And I equate that back to the music industry. I'm an old school rocker. I've listened to music since I've listened to rock as far back as I can remember. When the Beatles were on the radio. And I remember my high school sweetheart, girl from Michigan. She actually from Gross Point Shores.
Oh, she was a step better than everybody.
Yeah, Big Papa dated a rich girl. Um, like I remember going to her house for the first time. I needed a map. The place was so friggin' big. But
Yeah.
so her dad worked for a big accounting firm out of Michigan, and they got moved down to New York. His office was in the Twin Towers, actually. So, what was I getting at? Now I lost me. You threw me off.
Um, you dated a girl because you were talking about basically how you are only going to cater to what someone's interested in emotionally versus logically. Or
No,
did we pass that already?
we did.
I had
I was
a
talking about the Bentley Continental GT. I've driven every car.
yeah. Because I was saying like, hey, you also didn't need that. Um, we were talking about emotional buying, and then we were talking. Oh, the Shure microphone.
Yeah, whatever. Anyway, I don't
I'm
even know where I
so
went.
lost, dude.
That train left the track. I missed it. It's out of the station. But the biggest thing that you need to do when you're selling is know the person you're selling to. You don't got to do research on them. I know you're a research guy. I know when our guests come on, you like to research and do stuff, and it was great.
Well,
Last
I spend
show,
a few minutes
last
before I
show,
call everyone kind of understanding where they're from, what they do a little bit, just to kind of get what their psyche is like.
last show when we were in the show, we were discussing, and you went to Abby. You went, you mind if I get a little personal here? And I was like, oh, where's this going? And you started talking about her, and then she brought up the imposter thing. And you were talking about her article she did on the imposter syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
That was cool because
Thanks.
I'm not that guy who does the research. I'm a
You know
radio
what? I'm
guy.
better. I'm better
I'm a
at
rip
this
and read.
show. I'm better at sales from a questioning aspect of this show than actual sales.
Well, when you
Because
so
of
the
that, because
number one.
I know how I'm going to touch her pain point when I say, "Can I ask you something personal?" Well, I'm going to ask it. I'm just eliminating the objection of when I'm eliminating the stalker objection. How did you know that, right? I'm saying I am informed. Can we talk about something that you're close to? And
Right,
and and it's already planting that seed before it surprises her. Like, so
right.
that's what you always have that
Well,
that
it surprised me.
filtration
I was like,
question.
"Uh-oh, here where are we going?"
Like if
And
they
it
give
went
you a
well.
price objection and you say, "Well, would it offend you if I went into our inventory and saw, what we could do on this range of vehicles here?" And of course not. But you got to get them to mentally agree. I have to get her to mentally agree that I'm going to ask an intimate or very directed question.
Well, but I'm
For
different
buy-in.
too. I know my inventory, and it's because I've been in the business for so long. But I know my inventory. So there have been times where I'm in the middle of negotiating on a car, and I know these people are way out of their budget range. And I said, you know what? Give me a second. I'll go get a car that's in their price range and show it to them and just flip them. So there's two things that can happen. Number one, they get offended and leave, or number two, they get hurt and realize either I better pony up the cash or I got to drive home in this thing.
Right.
Or there's third things, which is they buy the thing that you brought up, and you're like, this is what you can afford.
That's
Sometimes you got
actually
to
an
insult people.
analogy.
You got
That's
to
an
you got to kind of
analogy
hurt
for
people's
us.
feelings sometimes. I mean,
Yep.
it is what it is. So one of the coolest things, and I was getting to this earlier. I was at the Saab store. Guy was buying a Saab Arrow, which back in the day, the Saab Arrow, the 9.3 Arrow
Wait,
was
wait,
their.
wait, wait. Are you telling me a sob story?
Yes, thank you.
Yes. Sorry, keep going. I was just
Or
at
my dad would say a slob and a sob. Um, so anyway, he was buying a Saab Arrow. I don't know if you know anything about Saabs, but the Arrows they're elite. That's like the Raptor. Okay.
okay.
It was a 5-speed black on black. No, sorry, 7-speed black on black. It was an amazing car. The thing that I loved about Saabs was the Saab engine was built by the guys who make the same engines for fighter planes.
Yes.
And they build, so most people slap a turbo on a car. Saab builds the engine around the turbo. I'm not selling
Right.
you a Saab because they don't even exist anymore. They're kind of like Hummers. They went with the wayside. Um, so this guy was buying this car. I had to find it. And he was a commercial realtor in Manhattan because the dealership I worked for was in Springfield, which was right over the bridge from New York. And he was a commercial realtor in Manhattan. He filled out a credit report. There were so many zeros on his income, it made me kind of it blew my mind. And this is a commercial realtor who negotiates high end for a living. And here I am in the back of my mind. I'm going, I am in no, it's kind of like Rocky versus the big Russian guy. I'm like, I'm way out of my
You
depth
get
right now.
imposter syndrome.
I'm like, I'm out of my depth right now.
Yep.
So I just did the most salesman thing that I knew to do. I went in the office, got the numbers, came out, spun the sheet. I said, down payment or cash. This is the deal. Sign whichever one you want. Slid the paper to him and sat back and just stared at him. What seemed to be an eternity. Now, this is not Zak. Zak does not know how to be quiet, but Zak shut his mouth and just stared at the guy. And what seemed to be an eternity probably was just a couple minutes. He finally looks at it and goes, well, we all know you know how to close and you're an asshole. And he signed it and just slid it back. And I said, he who talks loses. He goes, I know. And that's why I called you an asshole. I said, thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. Let me go get your car ready. And I walked away. Right. Same situation. I had another guy buying a Saab. And he's like, man, I just stopped in. I wanted to get some information on it. And I just wanted to bring it home and show it to my wife and talk to her about it. I said, can you hold on one second? And this cell phones had just come out. And I had a little a Nextel flip phone. Do you remember the Nextel flip phones?
Oh yes.
So I opened my Nextel and I put it up, and he's looking at me like looking at me, and I was like, "Hey, babe, yes, yeah, I'm at work, yeah," and I have Derek sitting here across from me. He's looking at a Saab 9.3. Oh yeah, it's the light blue one. I think his wife wants it, but he's not decided if he wants the convertible or not. I just got a question for you. Is it all right if I sell him a car? I can. Okay, thanks. I said, my
That's
wife said it was okay that I sold you a car. And he's like, okay, I got you. Now, I did that in a joking, fun manner, but guess what? It sold a car.
that is a difficult one to pull off. You have to be super, super, super tuned in to that person.
Exactly.
When people say,
Because
"Oh,
I could have I could have got I could have
yeah,"
gotten
no,
punched in the face.
the truth is anyone can do that, but you have to be so tuned into that person that they know the exact intent of your words.
Yes.
You are already lasered in on.
Well, I committed to either getting punched in the face or selling a car.
I think by that time you knew his reaction
No,
well
I knew
enough.
it. I knew it. And he actually did pick up the phone. He goes, "Hey, do you want the convertible or the hardtop? Because I'm buying a car from Zak. What do you want?" And it was kind of cool. And then there was another time a guy came in and he was comparing the Saab 9.3 to the Acura TL, I want to say. They were very, very similar. And I said, buddy, I sell Saabs. I don't know anything about Acuras. I know they're a great car. It's a Toyota. It's a Honda, rather. It's a Honda, but the better Honda. And I had an Acura Integra, so I knew a lot about them, but I didn't lead into that. And I said, this is what I can do for you. This is my offer. Why don't you go down the street, the Acura dealerships of the street, go drive one. Tell me what you think. If while you're there, you get a phenomenal deal that A, you think is too good to be true, or B, you want to see if I can match it, call me and I'll see what I can do. He's like, for real? I said, yeah, man, whatever. I said, I'm not scared of losing you to an Acura. So about 20 minutes later, he actually called. And he said, Zak, they're offering me this for the lease, blah, 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 blah. I said, sign the paperwork right now before they change their mind and realize that they're getting robbed. I said, no, I can't touch that deal. I will not touch that deal. If they're lying to you, tell them to F off and walk out. And he's like, did you just tell me to buy another car? I said, bro, I'm not going to lie to you and have you come back here and you're going to go, Zak, that's not the deal I just told you I was getting, so why would I do that? Anyway, the next day, his wife came in and she was mad. And I said, I'm sorry, why are you mad at me? She's like, no, I'm mad at him because she goes, I wanted the Saab. I don't like the Acura. So I came here to buy a Saab and my neighbor wants one and he came too. So I sold two Saabs for letting the guy go buy an Acura.
It's perfect.
you just don't know what's going to happen. You just have to feel that pulse. I don't bash my competitors. I
Nope.
may jokingly say something when out at a customer's house and I'm measuring and I see a competitor's flag in the yard because there's another company that puts flags out when they measure, and I like it because then I know exactly where everything is, even though I still measure to make sure they're, because people like messing with flags. And I said, I see the competition was here. And they're like, yeah. And they're like, well, is there something wrong with it? No, no, it is what it is. I'm just saying, I'm going to show you a better deal. That's all. And by the end, even if my numbers don't match, unless I'm selling to a true numbers person, and there are people out there who only buy because of the numbers, I've lost deals for $100. I mean, what are you going to do? First of all, I'm not going to stoop to your level. No, this is my deal. This is my best deal. Either you take it or you go with the other guy. I don't care. It doesn't hurt my feelings. Okay, and they'll buy from somebody else. As my boss always says, you know what that thing in your car is right there, the rearview mirror, and that's because the customer's getting farther away. So who cares? Whatever. That's why they make the windshield so big and the rearview mirror so small. I guess I don't know all those silly analogies. One of the biggest things to me. I am a creature of habit, so I almost say the same thing every time I'm with a customer. They'll never know that I said it to the other person. I have my intro, everything down to a science. If you listen to my recordings, every single one of them starts off the same way. And everything I say to the customer goes in the same organized way, but just with different stories. Because I find out what their story is. Do I look for their pain if I have to? Most of the time I don't have to. I'm just not needing to. Because I find something that if I can get someone to laugh, then I know it's a great deal.
Okay. So
Ask me your question. I know you got one.
I wasn't gonna ask you one yet. I just wanted to say that the power of silence.
Zach doesn't know what silence is.
You just talked. You lost. So that is a true.
I
When I
didn't lose because it's my
negotiated,
show and I can mute you.
so I grew up in like a family business, right? So
Yes, yes.
the first 10 years of my professional life were
Did you start working for your grandfather when you were in high school?
before,
Before?
like
So before
middle
you went to
school.
college and everything, you were working.
Oh yeah, like I think it was the summer when I was 12 or 13. I went there 3 days a week, full time with my dad, just to do maintenance. The next summer I went 13 or 14, I went all 5 days a week, 8 hours. And then I worked summers, but I got a retail job till junior year in high school. And then junior high school, I quit my retail job and I worked full time in the summer. And then I took work leave from high school because I was
What retail job did you do?
Auntie Anne's Pretzels. My sister worked there, so it was the only place that would hire me when I was like 15. And
I love those little pretzel hot dogs they make.
I haven't had one since I left because like we used to be able to take
I'm sure you guys ate
because they're
everything.
so the cost of goods is so cheap at the end of the night we could just take them all home.
Yeah, yeah.
And
That's like my buddy. He was the manager for Domino's, and on a Friday night, anybody who ordered a pizza didn't come pick it up, or all the fake phone call deliveries, whatever. And we'd be having a party at the house, and he'd show up with like 15, 20 pizzas, and it was
perfect.
my freezer was full
Especially
of
when
pizza.
you're already like 4 deep or whatever, and you have
Yeah, yeah.
alcohol hunger. Yeah,
I don't know what that is.
yeah, right.
We didn't drink. Come on.
Anyway, my sister worked there, and I worked there I think for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I left there in 01 or 02, which I think if I look at inflation since 2001, 2.44, okay, 78.21%. Wow.
So
I left there at age 16 or 17 making $7.50 an hour in food service, which would be equivalent to like 14 today, which would have meant something to someone 2 years ago, but now they pay them that anyway. So now you can be just a complete, but for back then, what fast food was valued at with minimum wage at like $5 or whatnot, that was really good. It's just that that's when I made the decision to quit football, schedule study halls at the end of my day, and take work release to start my professional career in high school. And I
Right.
started filing and doing engineering work, and then full time in the summer, 20 hours during the week during high school. And then when I got out of high school, I did 35 hours a week, Monday through Friday at work. And I did 5 classes in college, Monday through Friday. So Monday through Friday, I was literally like 7 a.m. till midnight, 7 a.m. till midnight, 7 a.m. till midnight. Talk to people at late at night, pass out, get up and do it again. Full energy, or 18, 19. Party on the weekends, full time. So long story short, I spent the first 10 plus years of my professional career life, like 18 to late 20s, in an environment where I didn't have to constantly try out for stuff because I was already anchored in so deep. If I wanted to learn a part of the business, I didn't stop doing what I was doing. I just started shadowing a portion of that business and then using my position to positively impact it to where I could get a project involvement or even a leadership portion of that function, that department. It was the most comfortable I've ever been in my life working for my family's business, because I knew everything about, I knew a lot about it because being at a young age, being involved in many departments, you kind of understand this whole cross-functional thing. Okay. So
Why didn't you take it over?
What?
Why didn't you take it over?
I got really impatient, I think. And, I really put a strain in my relationship with my grandfather, and and then I got recruited. And, back then I was like in my late 20s. It was, what year? I don't know. Must have been 2014 or 13 or something. I'd finished my degree, and I was probably making 75, 80K, but I was also kind of responsible for almost a third of the company. And so at that time, I got recruited for like 100K. And that was when I got recruited for that was my first multi-interview position where I won by being quiet. And when we started talking about salary, well, how much are you making now? Because this job pays this range. I just said, this is what I make now, but I have so many benefits that the value of what I do is this. And I'm at the top end of that salary, and I just pushed it back at him. And I literally just went like this, and I just smiled for like 5 minutes. And he's like, I know you're trying to get me to talk first. I'm like, yep. and I let it get so.
What did you get recruited into?
Business development. So, just like high level sales for a guy who owned 4 or 5 automotive companies in the same space as what my family's business was. And
so did you ever work for a dealership?
No, I never worked for a dealership. I was in automotive manufacturing.
So you sold the stuff to the guys who build the cars for the dealerships.
Right. But in automotive manufacturing, there is OEM producers, right?
Correct.
Your big brand names. And then there's multiple tiers of supply. So if you're supplying them direct, you're a tier 1 supplier. If you're supplying the supplier, you're a tier 2. If you're supplying the supplier, you're tier 3. So in the fastener business, we were only tier 3 or 2 at best. But in the business I got recruited into, we were tier 2 and 1 in a lot of cases. So that's when I started going to General Motors, to Toyota, to Ford, all those, actual brands, and getting involved with that. So
okay. So you never worked for the manufacturer though?
No, but they were my clients at one point, and that's why I took the job too. It wasn't just money; it was that I said this to my grandfather, and I said, "Listen, I'm going to gain so much exposure here to other parts of manufacturing, to other levels of tiers. I can come back in 5 years with all this knowledge." And he said, "No, once you leave, you're not coming back." And I was shocked, because I was like, well, I know usually family businesses almost sometimes even encourage, like the Amish, shun, leave, and come back, because you you can gain valuable insight. But he's like, nope, it's done. It's done. And I begged him to come back at some point, and he said, nope, we've made a decision to move on without you. And then from there, I got recruited again by someone else for even more money, to where I had to fly everywhere, and it was awful. My wife almost left me because I was never home. And then I begged this guy to come back, and I ran one of his business units for 3.5 years. And the day he offered me to run a second one, so basically you're getting up to like top 4 person in the company. That was the day I had to tell him I was leaving for Florida. And it was heartbreaking, because he did a lot for me. And I literally told him, I have 99 reasons why I'm going, and you're not one. I'm happy. Like, I like what I do. Like, I'm thankful for you. It has nothing to do with you. It has to do with taxes, government, COVID, weather.
You lived in Detroit. I mean, come on.
No, I live in Grand Rapids.
Oh, yeah. Very
different. Extremely different.
I dated a girl from Sparta.
Sparta was very close to my grandfather's business. It was on Fruit Ridge and 3 Mile Road, which if you go north of there, the next on Fruit Ridge, I believe Sparta's the next town.
I don't know what it was about the Midwestern chicks. I married one, but you guys, they
Me too.
Yeah. Well, my wife's from Iowa.
That's not Midwest. That's Great Plains, bro.
I don't know. I'd have to ask her. She might argue. I don't know.
I think though it's the same kind of conservative mentality.
Illinois, Wisconsin. Yeah, maybe it's Great Plains, because Kansas, Nebraska. I don't know.
I think it's the same mentality. Like the Iowa is the same mentality as Ohio, Wisconsin, Michigan.
Yeah, that's why it's the Midwest, and they all speak flat. The only people who don't speak flat is like the Dakotas and Minnesota and maybe Wisconsin, and I'm not sure. Nebraska really doesn't have an accent, but yeah, Omaha.
Now it's weird because the Midwest is like, it used to be this conservative manufacturing stronghold, and now it's like this liberal hodgepodge. It's so weird. It's so different, even from when I was born, right? Being born.
Well, your guys' 90s, governor, Michigan's governor, is terrible.
Whitler, yes, Gretchen Whitler. Living in, I'll probably get this YouTube banned. Living in the 90s in Michigan was kick ass. It was, it was the Clinton era, but it was like Gulf War, Dream Team. We had Governor John Engler. He was the most conservative. He was like DeSantis of the time. I mean, West Michigan in the 90s was awesome. It was such a conservative powerhouse stronghold, like a valley.
How close were you to the upper peninsula?
Oh, quite far. I mean, the bridge is probably
what is it? The Manasaukin? What the heck is it called?
Mackinac.
Probably
4.5, 5 hours from the bridge. We didn't go to the UP that often. I've only been there a few times, but we would.
Where did you guys vacation?
My wife and I would go to Mackinac Island every once in a while, and that was awesome. Late summer, it was just beautiful.
Well, it's funny because when I was in timeshare, and if you talk to somebody from Illinois or that area, everybody used to go to the Dells, which is in Wisconsin.
Yeah, or we would go to in the northern Michigan of Lower Peninsula in the Northwest. And Kid Rock sings that song all summer long. Traverse City area, Sleeping Bear Dunes. That's very in 2004. Good Morning America featured it when we used to have collective experiences on TV and it mattered. That was the year that Good Morning America decided that Sleeping Bear Dunes National Lakeshore was going to be one of its most beautiful places, and that Grand Haven, Michigan, the Coast Guard Festival, is going to be one of its most happening places. So when I was about 20, that's when those areas started popping off mainstream, and the dynamic really shifted from wonderful childhood, slow summer getaway and tradition to madhouse.
Right.
And it's all Chicago people, shipping up their Range Rover, blah blah, and it's completely different. Just it's not the same at all. It's nothing to do with it anymore. It's wild. It's changed. The dynamic has
You want
Gone.
to talk about growing up with a madhouse, the Jersey Shore,
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely.
buddy? It was,
Is it
yeah.
still?
Well, I haven't been to the Jersey Shore in 30 years.
That's probably good.
Yeah, I when I go back to if I go back, well, first of all, my mom doesn't live in Jersey anymore. She's in Pennsylvania now, and she's in the middle of PA, so it's not like she's close. But when I used to go back, like the last time I was in Jersey was for I call him my little brother, but my buddy Rob's birthday, and I mean, we just hung out at his house. It was like we had no desire to go anywhere. We went to the shooting range, and it's really weird because in New Jersey to go to the shooting range is like a big event because down here everybody carries guns. We got them in our cars, we got them on our hips everywhere, and up there, I mean, you got to keep them the ammo separate and then locked in a case. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. So I can't just
Yeah.
wear mine in my holster. And he's like, no.
Right, right,
I
right.
was like, oh boy. But nah, I mean, when I do go back to Jersey, when like I went that time, we went to Rob's birthday. We went to our hometown. We went back to Hillsborough, me and Chris, and we just drove around and reminisced where we used to get in trouble and all that good stuff.
Right.
But I have no, I don't um sorry, my son's texting me. Um he's learning why they take taxes out of paychecks. He's been working so long as his own company as cash and all that. He's like now working for a guy at W-2 and he's like, "Dad, why do they take so much out for taxes?"
My manager came to me with that too. He was 1099 for the longest time for someone else, and this was the first full year he was W-2, and he showed me, and they took out the exact perfect percentage, and it was really low, like 20, 22%. And I go, and he's like, why didn't I get a return? And I look at it, I go, buddy, you did awesome. You did so good. They took out the exact amount they needed to. They only took out 22% of, and this is my manager, so he makes really good money, for a manager in my store. And I'm like, you did I go, just, I know it hurts right now when you're young, but coming from a guy twice your age right now, you did really good. You did really, really good. Trust me.
So this was the first year. Oh gosh, it's got to be 5 or 6 years. Oh, this is the first year I was not a 1099. And this was the first year Lorianne and I got a return back, and it was a nice return.
Great. Spend it with me.
I can send you a couple dollars.
Yes. Value for those dollars.
I could take you out for a Happy Meal.
How about you take me out for a Raptor ceramic coating and a annuity? That would be my Happy Meal. Then I'll take you out for out for a fish fillet.
Well, Lorianne said we're going to bring it down. She was like, "Don't tell Derek we got a new car yet."
I'll pretend like I have no idea. Trust me. Just don't show her.
It will need a ceramic coating shortly. But and I feel bad, but we're gonna have to come get the windshield tinted, but they tinted the rest of the car.
Oh yeah.
It was part of the package.
They tinted the front two windows.
They tint all the windows are tinted except for the windshield. I'm sorry. It was part of the package they put in.
Sorry, let me help you feel educated. They charged you for 10 on the whole vehicle. The back is privacy glass that we will show you.
No, I understand. Yeah, no. Right. It's they tinted the
front two
the driver
windows
and the passenger
with a mid-grade 30%.
They didn't. First of all, they didn't charge me. Zach does not pay bump sticker.
They charged you.
There was a $14.95 bump sticker. Oh no, I got rid of that. I got rid of it.
They charge you somewhere else.
Well, maybe, but whatever.
Trust me. That's the big thing with dealers now. Like
I know what a bump sticker is.
Customers don't leave with the packages, man. That's no sale. Like that's where all the money is. The warranty, the ceramic coating, the tint.
We did get the aftermarket, and they're not called warranties anymore. They're called service contracts.
Oh yes, of course. I thought that was like supposed to be prepaid maintenance, like Toyota's total preventative maintenance. It's way different than warranty. Warranty doesn't mean anything anymore. No.
So my biggest thing, I think, when it comes to sales training is just be yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody is different, and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
everybody not, and I don't care what any sales manager tells you. Not everybody's buying.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing.
That's
We're
not what
taught.
Andy Elliott tells me.
I know we're taught to teach that not everyone's buying. I can promise you, I don't care what you're selling. If I don't want it, I'm not buying it.
I'm that way too.
Yeah, but you have to treat everyone like they're buying.
You have to have the mentality, and yes, yes.
You also have to treat everyone, to me, in my opinion, as equals. So what I was getting at earlier is
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
don't care if you're a low income guy. I don't care if you're um I don't care if you're a billionaire. It doesn't matter to me. You don't. So in 1994, I left New Jersey and I moved to Texas. My best friend was living in Texas. He's a chiropractor, but he's also a doctor of massage therapy. He had his own school down there. He wrote the curriculum and for massage therapy and yada yada yada. Anyway, um, and he said, "Dude, come to Texas. It's so much better than Jersey. Just come check it out." So my ex-wife, I told her, I was like, I need to leave Jersey. I'm going to go check this out. She said, "Well, you go down, and if it's good and you don't come back, I'll move down." She's like, "You go check it out." Basically, I was the scout going to check it. And anyway, I moved to Texas, and I got a job with a company down there called D&L Entertainment. And with my background in security um and law enforcement and everything, I got a job with a company called D&L Entertainment, and we did security for all the venues in the Dallas Fort Worth area. And then we did also the Southwest region. We toured with rock bands. So I worked for the Dallas Cowboys,
That's
the
cool. Yeah,
Dallas
you
the
mentioned that.
Dallas Mavericks, or the Stars, the Mavericks. And then I did any concert that came through, and some concerts I actually did Oklahoma City, Houston. I would go on the road with them for a couple shows. We did the Southwest region. And I loved it. It was just it was so cool, but when you get around these celebrities, people get starstruck, I guess the word is. I
Mm-hmm.
don't get starstruck. I found out that most of the majority of the people, whether they're, and some of them, don't get me wrong, some of them are, they think their poop don't stink, but you get to be around these people, and if you treat them not like a star, if you talk to them like Ted
Like a
Nugent.
friend. Hey, hey,
I toured with Uncle Ted, and
is
Ted
that
Nugent was,
Ted Nugent,
yeah, he was the most
Motor
down to
City
earth guy.
Madman?
You could just sit and talk to him, and he was just cool. But you could see when people would come in and start getting celebrity hype around him, he it kind of bothered him. And I'd ask people questions. I'm in the backstage. I'm sitting in their dressing room with him with Luther Vandross. I was with Janet Jackson. I was with whatever I could name, and I'm not name dropping. It's just people I worked with. And I would sit, and some people I would talk to. Billy Joel, found out he was a big motorcycle enthusiast. We actually, before the show, went out and he went and bought a vintage Harley. I went with him, and we just chopped it up about motorcycles because I loved, at that time in my life, I was riding bikes all the time. I was a big motorcycle nut. Been riding since I was a kid. Me and all my friends in Jersey had bikes, and you just find a commonality. And I learned that 99.9% of the people are just like you and I. They get up in the morning, they put their pants on the same way. Now, I do it like the rock stars. I use midgets. They help me put my pants on in the morning. But, other people, they just put them on one leg at a time. I use a little trapeze and I bounce in.
I just don't put them on.
Actually, I don't know wear shorts. When have you seen me in pants? Actually,
I had my Baby Yodas on. Now I got my Monsters Inc. shorts on.
ugh. I hope you get money for those.
What do you mean get money for those?
Advertising, merchandising.
Yeah, right.
But like, it doesn't matter what. So when I was a kid, my first job was in 1984. I got minimum wage, which is $3.35 an hour, and I pumped gas. Because in New Jersey, we pumped gas. And they start you out at $3.35. Kids, $3.35 an hour.
Yeah,
Okay.
you want to complain these days. Come on.
Right. I don't make
Yeah.
$20 an hour. I ain't going to work. Shut up. I made $3.35.
But you are
Um,
87, so that makes sense.
I graduated high school in 87. I'm not 87.
Yeah. Let's make it
20
fun.
years younger. 67.
Yeah, 67.
I'm 56. Um, but anyway, I pumped gas and my dad was actually mad that I took a job. I'll never forget because he didn't think I should have worked. He's like, "You're in school. You need to focus on school." But he knew why I worked because it was a party. That's all it was. And it was just I was selling from day one. Now, you want to get into my roots where I learned how to sell? My mom will tell you I've been negotiating since I was born. So when my mom and dad adopted me, I was adopted. When they adopted me, they brought me home. Actually, they found me in the woods. I really wasn't adopted. They just say that to make it legal. They found me in the woods. I was raised by bears. And my mom and dad were both school teachers. And my mom left teaching so she could stay home and raise me. And then she got pregnant with my sister. And she wanted to replace her income. And so she got in a little business, which should be near and dear to your heart because it was where you're from, Amway. And
Born and raised, man.
she became very, very successful at Amway. But my mom was old school. She'd literally go door knocking selling soap, which is crazy. But she had her customers, and I remember lugging boxes of freaking SA8 up people's driveways and dropping them off. You know, my mom selling it would suck when she sell the 3-pack case because it was 3 12-pound boxes. You know, you got to lug it up somebody's
Great
driveway.
products, by the way.
Oh,
Fantastic
100%.
products.
100%. Love it. Love it. And I was her little sidekick. And I went to every rah-rah meeting. And by the time I was like 8 years old, I could do the Amway plan. I could do the circles on the board and show everybody how many down legs you got to have make money and how to make money.
Remember, it's derived from the Stanford School of Business.
Is it?
Just to give credibility to this.
Is that where you went?
No, that's part of the presentation. That's
I know.
part of the validation for the circles. Remember, I could do it too, pretty decent for a minute.
So I went to all these meetings and then now so my mom was big into the motivational and success and positivity, which Amway's built on that too.
They're a leadership development organization, just
100,
like
100%.
Symmetry is that I
Yeah,
work for. Yeah,
correct.
Right.
So my mom, when would get in trouble. Now, don't get me wrong, there was times my dad would whoop my butt, but 99% of the time, my mom would make me read a book, something written by Zig Ziglar
Zig
or
Ziglar, Napoleon Hill, Robert Kiyosaki,
How to Win Friends and Influence People, how to, you know, this,
Dale
that, and the other.
Carnegie, baby.
Yeah.
Yes.
I had to read a book and then I had to write a report on it. Now, literally as a child, that was pure hell. I thought I was living in hell. Looking back, hindsight obviously is always perfect vision. Looking back, it was the greatest thing my mom could ever have done because it molded me to never be negative. It molded me to be the salesperson I am and never quit. Right. If I'm not the number one sales guy, then I'm doing something wrong. Right. And I do joke there are months that I'm not always number one. All right, maybe there was 2 months. But anyway, in the 4 years I've been at my job, I think I've been.
Are you at your goal this month so far? I think I haven't asked you in like a week and a half. You're good. You're good, right?
I'm at 220,000 right now.
And then your record would be 250, right?
Choo choo. Maybe it's either 250 or 225.
But you wanted to do 300 because
I
that
want
would
to do
be,
three. I
and
want to do
and
three. That would be a record.
according to the ratio of the days left in the month, you're on your way. See how your pipeline goes.
I'd have to get some big sales, but yeah, regardless.
Yep.
Um,
Incredible.
my normal months are, and this is an above average month. My normal months are in about a buck 20. Um, anyway, and yes, kids, that's over $1 million a year in sales. Just by little old me selling what I sell, slinging vinyl and wood.
If you
Um,
sold like you sold this month, you'd do between 2 and 3 million every year.
if I lived in Jacksonville, I would be mediocre. Those
Wow.
guys kill it up there. That's the land of milk and honey.
Really? Why?
Yeah, they don't have HOAs and they don't have to do permits and all that crap. They literally sell a fence and it gets installed that week. Mine's 6 to 8 weeks out because
God.
of HOAs and permitting.
Bureaucracy.
Baloney. It's
You
a
know,
bunch of
bureaucracy is
baloney.
the biggest load of bull ever created in the history of the world.
HOAs are the biggest bunch of bull, and you can take that to the bank. I live in a non-HOA for that reason. I used to live in a very, very nice HOA, gated community, guard at the front gate and all that crap. And they'd come around and measure your grass. They're little old ladies in golf carts. Your grass is too long. You have green stuff on your sidewalk. It needs to be cleaned up. Get up and shut up before you get shot. Before I let my dogs out. But so like I was saying, it doesn't matter what you sell or how you sell. If you're not, in my opinion, look, I learned something very, very valuable. Actually, this is something. So I've been a goal oriented person all my life. Did you know that you should never set more than 3 goals for yourself at a time?
Did
Your
I know
mind,
that?
your mind can't comprehend more than three. So
Can't execute more than 3.
when you finish one, you cross it off and add one. So you could have a list of 20 over here that you slide over, but you should always just have 3 right in front of you.
That makes sense.
So, but people, when they do that, give me your 3 year, your 6 year, your 10 year, goals, and I would need a whole list. And that's baloney. I don't know what I'm going to. My wife will tell you this. This is her favorite thing to say all the time. She said it when we bought she says, if you had told me 6 months ago when I bought my Bronco that I'd be driving a Raptor in 6 months, I would have told you that you were absolutely out of your mind insane. Because you never know what tomorrow will bring.
Mm-hmm.
So you cannot. Preparing is smart. Building yourself up to be the best and the greatest you is smart. But knowing that tomorrow, that light at the end of the tunnel that you thought was success might be a train, you have to be prepared for that also. So you have to know that you're going to hit walls, you're going to go in valleys, you're going to get to mountains, you're going to have to pull up your boots and put on your big boy panties sometimes. And then other times you got your flip-flops on and you're sitting in your jams in the water. As Zach Brown says, I got my ass in the sand and my toes in the,
Now we're in the world. I got a cold drink in my hand. Life is
100%. But that's not every day. So when you look at life as I do, I look at life as reality. Reality is what it is. You also can make it what you need it to be. People are like, that's not reality, but it is. I create my own reality. Okay. If I woke up every day, ho hum, okay, and no offense to anybody, this is Zach, not anyone else. There is no way on God's green earth that I could have been in the same job for 30 years, like several of my friends are about to retire from, or my dad worked as a school teacher at the same school for 40 years. I could not do it. Okay. Several reasons why. I get bored too easily. If I am not challenged on a daily basis, then I'm looking for something to challenge me. Number 2, if my paycheck isn't where it needs to be, I'm looking for the next paycheck. So that's the downside of, that's the problem with sales guys. We're always chasing the dragon. We're like heroin addicts. We are always chasing that paycheck. I made $100 million last month. Now I got to make 200 million.
Right.
And if you have that mindset that's great, but you do have to know that there is failure, but failure is a flicker. in our existence. This is our existence, and here's the little failure. It's gone. It's a bleep. Okay, next. You know, I studied a book when I was a kid, and I'm going to get it for you. I gotta find it. I'm looking at my library, but I can't. I don't see it. But it's called Rhinoceros Success. What does a rhino do all day? The rhino charges through the woods. Give me a
Nice thumbs up.
There we go. The rhino charges through the woods looking for the food to eat, but his ultimate goal is to find the mud hole. But the problem is the rhino charges and hits things. Trees get in his way, walls get in his way. He bounces off and then he keeps on going. So that's what you have to do. Keep your horn shiny and keep charging, looking for that mud hole. Because sooner or later, you're going to find the mud hole and then you're going to be set for the rest of your life. But if you do not set yourself up for success to do that and use that mindset every day, it doesn't matter. Life is going to suck. And that's what frustrates me more than anything else. I know that there are failures. I know that there are valleys. I know that there are hills that I don't want to climb, but I have to. Okay. And I look at people, I see people. I'm a people watcher. I read people. People, I'm constantly reading people, and I look at somebody and I go, when did you give up on life? What year did you give up? My friend told me a good story. He's like, you look at their hairstyle, that's usually you can tell when they gave up on life. Because if their hairstyle's from like the 80s, that's when they were done. That's so.
So read me right now.
Well, your hairstyle is like very hip and chic, so you're not.
I've had this hairstyle for 10 years now. Okay.
Well, how about my hairstyle? You want to read my hairstyle?
I thought about your hairstyle today. I thought about why don't I just do that? It's a lot easier, but I have a weird.
No.
Eventually,
You have a head of hair. I wish I had a head of hair. But what I'm saying is, I look at people
I know
and I say,
what you're saying is,
when did you give up? And you should not give up. And it frustrates me because there's so many people out there that gave up. I've told you this before, I used to hate going to sleep at night because I felt like I was going to miss something. If I went to bed, something was going to happen and I missed the opportunity. And then sometimes it burned me. I remember
you would
I was
make
supposed to
you would
meet.
make more than 200K first year selling life insurance. You would. You just would. You just would.
I'm a lazy salesman, though. I like them coming to me.
You just would, just because of your posture. You just would.
Well,
you just would.
I get it.
You wouldn't be as comfortable as you are now.
No,
but you would. Well,
and
I don't know. You would.
And I got to be honest with you. My job is I have a really good job.
You do have a good job,
and
you have a lot of freedom too.
I do.
That's
but
phenomenal.
I get frustrated sometimes, and I want to quit, and then I get reminded, dude,
you have a great job.
I have a great job. I was at the dealership, and my buddy was talking to me, and he got promoted, and I said, oh, I used to do that, the position he got promoted to, and he's like, I'm going to be reaching out to you. I go, I'm not coming back in the car dealership. And Lorianne's looking at me. I could feel the glare from over there. I'm like, I'm not coming back in the car dealership.
He probably enjoys seeing you once in a while, I'm sure.
Huh?
I'm sure Lorianne values seeing you more than an extra 40 grand.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, I probably make
probably more. But does it really matter when you go into giving your entire life away? We're not talking anything until you add another zero on the end.
Right.
Because so when I left my second owner job, the guy I had the silent war treatment with to win the negotiation, when I left him the first time to be recruited, I wasn't looking, I was recruited to work for my enclosures manufacturer in Belding, and they had a office in East Texas too. I was paid very well. My car was paid. My steak dinners were paid. My Four Seasons were paid. They treated me better than anyone has ever treated me. I have no complaints. However, with the amount of traveling, the expectation, and then to my own fault, my own daily commute of an hour each way, my wife saw very little of me. And I
Mhm.
learned very quickly that even though I was treated perfectly, like to complain would just be the stupidest thing in the world. They were wonderful people. One of my best, just values incredible. But they all acted like they were the owner of the business. Like that's how
Right.
passionate they were, and I admired that. But I wasn't, and I was good and I was skilled, but I wasn't that passionate.
Sure.
And that's kind of when I went to work for myself at that point. But the point is, I was doing so well on paper and in lifestyle, suit and tie every day. Well, I got, dude, 1 month because of this event that comes to Grand Rapids called Art Prize. 1 month, we took our reps out to dinner, I think about every other night. I went to Ruth's Chris Steakhouse with the company 1 month, like 15 times. And I was so spoiled. I was sick of Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. Okay, that's really weird. No, I don't
I
want
don't think
any
I
more.
get sick of
I don't
steak.
want any more filet mignon. Yeah, you would, because it's the same. I don't want any
I don't
more
know.
filet
If I do the
mignon or
carnivore, I don't know that I'll
pan-seared
get sick
bass
of it.
or candied Brussels sprouts anymore. Yeah, when you get used to it, you take it for granted. And at that time, despite all of that, not being home like I had the freedom with my other job, because
Right.
when I was first started my other job, I had the freedom that you have, man. I could be on the road when I wanted to be on the road. I could do my trip report when I wanted to do my trip report. I could be home when I needed to be home. Total
Yeah.
freedom, total freedom. And I realized with that job not being home, just like a car dealership job, that the only way I could stay in it would literally be if I had not an extra 20 grand or 50 grand or 100 grand, if I had an extra zero,
Mm.
like a 7-figure salary that I could work 5 years and retire just before I die.
What was your when you were at your top of your game? What was your best month?
I was not a salesman. I was the national sales director. I had salesmen who worked for me.
Oh, so you weren't commission based.
No. And then when I was business development, I was incentive based. So I had to get
Okay.
new account because with automotive, the sales cycle is not 6 to 8 weeks. Okay, you talked about the Japanese dealerships. When you're talking about a Japanese supplier and you're not a supplier for them yet, or so like if you're trying to get in with a tier one Toyota or Honda supplier, they won't let you into that inner circle for sometimes up to 5 years.
Right.
And then when you're in, you are in. You are a partner. But let's say they're kicking off a new program, from design to production is 5 years.
Okay.
And even when you're sampling a job and going into production, your first parts are 26 weeks out. It's not, it's such a massive sales cycle in automotive that the only people making commission are usually the independent reps. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So in the enclosures business, when I was the national sales director, or manager, I wasn't a director. I had, I want to say, probably 100 nationwide independent sales rep agencies, and I had to literally have relationships with all of them. So I wasn't selling; I was creating systems, developing the CRM, building an internal team, and working those sales reps. Like that was my life. So I
Right.
wasn't a direct OEM salesman. I was a business development, which in automotive too, even when you're the sales guy, once you're in, you hand it right off to a project manager. And the project manager starts doing the technical, the RFQ process.
What do the sales guys make?
For what?
The
Like,
OEM sales guys.
oh, if you're like a selling to if you're working for like a tier one company selling to OEMs, it depends on what you sell, but 100 to 300 grand, I'm sure. It's good. There's if you work for the OEM, if you work for GM and you're just like a purchasing manager straight out of college, you're like 100K right away. But you had to go to one of the schools they want you to go to, Kettering or Purdue or Michigan, and you have to get into the intern program, and it's a process. And then once you're in, you can get lost. You can get lost to the 6-figure salary. It's that big and bureaucratic.
Well,
You just
that's like
get lost in your own
Lorianne's
little world.
Lorianne's brother
Hmm.
started working for Iowa Beef in high school. He started
Iowa
out
beef.
he started out on the slaughterhouse on the slaughter floor, and he worked his way up, and he just retired last week from Tyson. Tyson bought Iowa Beef, and he was the national vice president of anyway, anything Walmart sells, chicken or beef or anything that comes from Tyson, he was the guy. All
Okay.
Walmarts. Yeah.
Okay.
He had to move to Bennington, Arkansas, where the Walmart corporate headquarters is, because when they call for a meeting, they want you at the
Bentonville.
meeting. Yeah, Bentonville.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bentonville. So they want you at the meeting. You have to show up. But anyway, he retired after however many years he was there. And he started out on the, so I am sure there's kids you grew up with who started out on the floor at GM or Ford and worked their way up and probably worked there for a bunch of years till that
Oh
they
yeah.
retired. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Because the at those times they had pensions and they had union protection.
Union.
I mean,
Yes.
you. I mean, in the late '80s, you could be a forklift operator for one of those companies and make $35 an hour.
Right.
I mean, darn, like late '80s, bro. That's like
Yeah.
$80 an hour.
Yeah.
That's insane. With basically unlimited overtime. Whatever you got to work, do it. Whatever.
Yeah.
Those guys would make. That's why Detroit got eroded. When NAFTA
My
came. I mean, Detroit used to be a money city, bro. Even like
one of
the summer,
my dad's best friend
crazy
ran
money.
the GM plant in Trenton, New Jersey.
Hmm.
Was it GM or was it Ford? I think it was GM. Anyway, but he was also a school teacher, which is kind of funny. He taught auto shop at school, and then he worked the afternoon shifts at the plant. He had been there since he was a kid, so he wasn't giving up his benefits, his pension, and all that stuff, but he still wanted to be a teacher. So he taught during the day and he worked the 3 to 11 shift or whatever. I just thought that was crazy. He worked that, but you know, I just it was a different breed of people that our
Hmm.
parents, your grandparents'
Hmm.
generation came from. Like my dad, a college education and a career, and you worked the same job for 40 years, got your gold watch and your plaque on the wall or whatever.
Yeah, but
That was the
you also had before everything started becoming a global competition, you also like in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, the man of the house, if translating that in today's pay, they were bringing home 200K. Yeah, they were working 80 hours and
my mom didn't have to
but
work.
the benefits they had, and the security they had and the pay they had, it was yeah, they were a different breed. They worked way harder than anybody, but the companies took care of people more because they didn't have to compete cutthroat globally with sweatshops. You didn't have
Right.
to. It wasn't a stockholder game like, oh my gosh, we didn't gain 5% profit this quarter, only 4.9. So let's just say, you're fired, Johnny. Good luck with a new baby. It's totally different. Everything
Well,
today is if you're making tons of money in a big company, guess what? Tomorrow you might not be.
right.
And that's what happened with COVID, like Accenture, all these consulting firms with this remote work, guys making $200 walking up and down the street, drinking beer during the day because they have one Zoom meeting. They don't have jobs anymore. They're gone. And I told like
Yeah.
my wife that I'm like, when you aren't giving value, it's a limited amount you can give back. So back then you could give value and get paid for it.
Right.
And that was awesome. That is the American dream. Like so many independent, leadership development and entrepreneurial positions and influencers are like, don't be a slave to this business and get your golden watch. Well, back when that was a thing, that actually was a great thing to do, and
Right.
it was safe and it was protected and secured your family, and it was lucrative, and you just had to work your ass off. I mean, get over it, right? I mean, that used to be the thing to do, and that's not a derogatory thing. It's just that it's a lot harder to do now.
I remember
It's more flexible to do. You have more flexibility to do it, but it's not as easy to find a company that's going to say, "You take care of me, I'll take care of you." It's you're just a number, you're just an ant, or you don't give a crap.
I remember when I was a kid, my dad was trying to convince me to go work for the post office because the benefits were phenomenal and the retirement was great. Now, if I had grown up here in Florida, he probably would have wanted me to go work for Publix because Publix has an amazing. If you retire from Publix as a GM, you're a millionaire. I guarantee it. If you bought stock, just
Yeah,
like if you worked for UPS or FedEx,
they had to lay a bunch
um,
of people off in the last couple of years just because of a lot of people who were Publix people made the switch to Walmart when, with the inflation on the food prices. So Publix actually right now, I think it's turning around, but they have been kind of, I won't say struggling, but it's been a little leaner for them.
right. And it was funny, even when I moved to Florida, my dad's like, why don't you go work for Altamont, the city of Altamont or Popka? You know, you'll get a good benefits, you'll get a good job, you'll work your way up.
Hmm.
So I've had several different careers, all basically sales. Majority, the cars and bars. I always say that because I did run in the restaurant, the hospitality industry for a little while. I ran restaurants, and I actually thought I wanted to own a restaurant for a while, and then I realized that I'm stupid. Stop it. Go away. The only business you will actually lose your life to and money to is the restaurant business. Um, so I've worked in different sales things. So the point I was getting at earlier, you talk about like my dad working 40 hours or 40 hours, 40 years at the same job. My buddy just retired from the sheriff's department, 30 years. Um, for me, I don't believe that I would have evolved to the individual and the salesperson and my management skills and everything if
Right.
I had done that.
Right. I got you.
So imagine if I had gotten the same job and worked my way up. I wouldn't know who I am to where I am today because you can put me now anywhere in a sales job or a management job in sales and I can run it. It doesn't matter what you're selling because you don't sell the widget, the wadget, the wigadoo. You sell yourself. And that's
Hmm.
maybe my biggest thing. So when you get into sales, everybody wants you to do product knowledge and product training. Bull crap. You have to know your product. Of course you do. You can't go out there and be an idiot because you're going to run into people who want to know.
Yeah.
But the number one thing you need to do when you get into sales or if you are in sales is train yourself to be a people person. Train yourself to know your customer. Train yourself to become the caring, most loving person on the planet. And I will be honest, 100% honest with you, when that goes away, which there's been days I feel that way, get out. You know, get out because you're done, you're burnt and you're not going to sell anymore and people will smell it. People can smell desperation a mile away. And look, when I'm having a bad month, I'm having a bad month. I get it. It happens. I don't sweat because you know why? I know there's more months that are coming that are going to be just either bad or good. It doesn't matter. It's called the ebb and flow of the business. But I see people go in pure panic mode. I also see, and I say this very gingerly. I also see when you're the top dog, you watch other people's faces, the jealousy sometimes kicks in. And I try and be very positive with the coworkers. Come on, man. You guys got to catch up to me. Give me some competition up here. Heavy as the crown. I joke around and stuff, but people think it like I don't know what people think really if they think that I'm giving sales or if they think I'm just I really don't. I've never asked anybody what you think. If do you think I'm just that good, or do you think that I don't know, but I just try and let people know, dude, just don't go out there and let them see you sweat. That's the worst thing you can do. The minute someone smells that you're trying to sell, it's game over. So when I walk up to the customer's house, I don't judge anything because I've made some of my biggest sales at some of the crappiest houses on the planet. And I've had my worst, I shouldn't say worst, I've had more rejection in the rich neighborhoods than I do in the bad neighborhoods. And that's how I've learned to not care. I don't care. Your money's green, whether you make $1 billion a month or you make $12 a month. Your money's green to me, so I don't care. So, as I always say, love your job, appreciate and love the product, but love the people, because the people are the ones who are making you money. And as a sales manager, I love my employees and I want my employees to take my place, because it's a ladder. If I'm pushing you up, then you're pushing me up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we used to joke around in the car business. You know why the desk is right next to the door? Because it's the easiest way. You're the first one out the door when sales are crap. But it's not really that. It's also, there was nothing better for me to know that I've trained a kid and he wants to become a finance manager, and then he wants to learn sales managers. And that means I'm going to become a GM, or I'm going to go on to a bigger, better store or something like that. So,
But you mentioned
it's,
something important. You mentioned, not only knowing your customer, but knowing yourself.
yes.
So I can tell you, before I moved to Florida, my level of confidence, probably when you first met me too, in energy and passion and care, was way different. It was way more on fire, way more naturally to sell stuff. And now you see the best and you hear the worst from me, because I complain to you too. But my outer, when I'm at the store, like it's natural. But when I'm in something like newer, like insurance, and it's like I gotta sell, it's different. Like I'm not as like, for example, I used to pick up the phone when I was the VP of a little tiny heat treating plant. I'd just pick up, I'd put it on speaker. Don't give a shit who hears it. I'd be like, hey, what's going on, man? It would be like someone I've talked to once in my entire life. I'd be like, yeah, what can I do for you? Yeah, Derek's not here. I mean, I would just say the most boisterous, like, I'd pick up and be like, hey, Derek. And I'd be like, yeah, I have no clue who that is. And I'd just sit there, and they'd laugh. And then I'd just be like, what's going on, man? This and that, blah, blah. It's just I was just so much more natural at
So why aren't
being
you that way
myself
with
when I was with
new
with
thing?
what's that?
Why aren't you that way now?
Because I'm really depressed about the situation of all the businesses and stuff, and it's
Well, I get that. I get that.
I'm kind
But
of
when you're,
deflated. Like I'm like, no matter what I do, like how it is. Like, oh, I got my nuts kicked in this week. I've kind of been with my nuts kicked in for the last 28 weeks, so I'm kind of like, I need a good week. How about a good month? And there's a huge part of me, that 5 to 7 a.m. panic attack with the devil, that is giving up on life. And I gotta get him off the table, get back to it. And it's just 2 hours of panic attack, 2 hours of catching up, saying my prayers, eating my vitamins, literally. And then I'm not really rearing till like 9:30, 10. And then all my shit calls come in. And then maybe by 11 or 12, if I'm lucky, it's showtime. And now I have to push off my workout. I don't want to go outside to get vitamin D because I'm in mechanical mode. I got to get it done. So it's taking too long to get into that day, because too much. I'm holding myself down too much by the failures of my current state. So that's the reason. Right? That's
I
the reason. It's
I
tough because I know who I am and I know who I'm not being right now, and it just kills me, because it's like, you know what? If I could only get myself back from 5 years ago.
no.
If
I
no,
wouldn't
no,
want
no,
to.
no, not my situation. I said if I could get my
No. But even still, you're a different person. It did. No. You're more mature and you
right,
have different things. I wouldn't
but
want
the
to
zest,
be who
the
I was
energy,
five
the
years ago.
passion, the drive.
I will tell you this much. So there was a point in my life when I went back to Jersey in '05, and I came back here. I joked that I got a Jersey injection, so I got my chutzpah back. But I realized that it had nothing to do with Jersey. It just had to do with my mindset. And
Mhm.
I think, and we're not going to go into details with what's going on with you, that, I know what's going on. But I think
Suck it.
you're, I think you should suck it. No, I think, I think that you're getting into your head too much, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the devil's playground. And I think that
Well,
I think that people, I'm not even just talking about you, but people who are in sales, we are our biggest enemy because we're also our biggest critic. Like
well, I think
I don't
there's
need a
two.
sales manager to tell me that I screwed up on a deal or I messed up, although they want to. Like my boss, when he calls me, the picture on the phone is a boot because he's always putting his boot in my ass. He does it to make me better.
Right.
But he did say the other night, he's like, you know, you're the best salesperson I have. And I'm
Yeah,
like, your
yeah, we
guys,
know.
I go,
Thank
but
you.
your guys, I go, your guys in Jacksonville kill me every month. He goes, no, has nothing to do with numbers. He goes, you are the best salesperson that works for the company. He goes, it's how you treat people, how you talk. So let's go back to those recordings I do. They love listening to it because I say stupid stuff, but it makes my customers pay attention to me. Like I'll go up to the door and I'll be like, hey, I'm Zach from Superior Roofing. And they're like, what? I'm like, I'm not. Not your roof guy. Come on. Let's go measure a fence, you know? And I have fun with them. I got to make my customers laugh, you know? And I say stuff like,
Yep.
I'll have a British customer and I said, man, I hear an accent there. I see you from Wisconsin or North Dakota or something. They're like, yeah, a little bit farther the other way. I said, yeah, yeah, no, you know, just have fun, right? And I'll listen to other people, and people are too sales pitchy, too sales robotic. Everybody sounds like dude. When I go there, if you listen to my calls or my I don't make calls. If you listen to my presentations, there's nothing sales in it. I don't even close at the end. Like and it's really funny because I actually had the sales trainer, which is he's ridiculous. I run circles around this guy. And I even said in the meeting, I said, well, you know, people become sales trainers because they can't sell. And he kind of just looked at me. I'm like, you know, it's true. But anyway, and
Then he ran you over.
no, no, he knows better. He's scared of me. He tried to correct me in the meeting. I said, dude, what's your closing ratio? Okay, go look at mine. Now be quiet. Go talk to somebody who knows what they don't know what they're doing. And he stopped. He goes, Zach, we all know who you are. So we're good. You're good. I said, exactly. I'm not the guy to cross at the table. Don't try and make me look stupid. But you know, like they want you to use these this that and the other thing. And he was listening to one of my closes, and he goes, you didn't even ask for the sale, and she wanted to sign the contract, and then you acted surprised. I go, yeah. He goes, well, but don't you go in expecting the close? I said, 100%. He goes, don't you ask for the close? I said, I did. You just didn't hear how I did. And he's like, but you were surprised. I go, I'm an actor, bro. I'm never surprised when someone buys. I know they're going to buy. Every house I go to is going to buy. And if they don't buy, then I'm surprised. And he was like, wow. He goes, but you sounded surprised. I said, I did it on purpose to make it feel like she won. They think they get a good deal when they do that. Oh, I beat a sales guy. You can't beat me. Stop it. I said, you know, your whole spiel and everything is timeshare 101 or used cars 101. I've done there, been there, done that. I've written that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You can't tell me how to sell. But what if you closed another 10%? I go, so I'm at 33% right now. I'd be at 43%. What's that? An extra $2,000 a month, maybe? Whoop de frickin' do, Basil. I'm not changing my technique to add a couple more percentages.
Well, because changing your technique could also decrease a lot of your.
I'm not
That's
saying,
that's
but I'm
that's the thing.
saying
See. Their job is to always say, "You're amazing," and if you did this technicality correct, you would increase it by this. But the truth is, if you let your psyche focus on that technicality, you would probably lose enough of yourself to actually decrease more than you would gain from it. They're just not wise enough to know what we call your landed cost. Okay,
right.
they are just a stupid purchaser. Sorry, generality. They're just another stupid purchasing agent who is comparing your 5 cent product to a 1 cent Asian product when they're not taking into account that there's 2 cents of tariffs, 2 cents of transportation, and then 50% more quality issues,
Right.
cash on demand on delivery instead of with terms. So bad cash flow, long lead time. And you look at your landed costs, you're like, holy shit, it's not 5 cents to 1, it's 5 cents to 10.
Right.
And so what they're saying with you is if you add this technicality to go up 10%, but you're going to let your psyche focus so much on that technicality, lose yourself, and you're going to go down 20% to gain that 10.
Well, the funny thing is they gave us this list of
Wisdom.
I got it.
Wisdom.
I do have wisdom.
Please.
I'm dumb, but I'm wise.
Can I say I want to make
But they have this list they want us to do, right? They want us to give the customer the list. Circle the top 5 things that really are important to you. If you listen to my pitch, and I said this in the meeting, I go, if you listen to my spiel, I hit every one of those before I even have to give them a list. So they don't even have to ask me those questions. And they're like, again, Zach, we know who you are. Exactly. So I hate, nothing more infuriates me when someone generalizes. So they're in a meeting and they're yelling at everybody. And it has nothing to do with you, but they got to be yelling at everybody.
Right.
And I'm like, dude, why don't you just take the guy you're mad at and go yell at him and leave us alone instead of belittling us before I get mad and take your job? And trust me, I don't want to be a sales manager. I don't miss the phone calls all day long. I don't miss answering to somebody having to do all the numbers and this, that, and the other thing and blah 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 blah. When I was the general manager of the dealership, and actually when I actually was the area manager, I ran 4 dealerships for the guy. We used to go out to breakfast every day. Every morning I met with the owners of the company. And we would have to go over everything. And they want to know why, blah, blah. Why isn't this store producing? I don't know. I'm over at this store. You got to have these answers. I don't want that. I want to go out and sell and be home by 2:00 and not do nothing the rest of the day. Run my appointments, make my paycheck, and rock and roll. And that's how, and I used to want to be the big boss. I used to think having that title was so important.
The freedom.
Dude, GM does not mean nothing. GM means
slave.
So real quick, because we got to wrap it. We've been on for a while.
Yeah, we have to wrap it up, dude.
We do, but real quick. 2017, I had to have brain surgery.
Yeah.
Yeah, LARINE wanted proof. So I was in the car business. I was running 4 dealerships and for 5 years I struggled with this, maybe 6 years, I struggled with trigeminal neuralgia. I was on the most allowed medicine by the FDA for the anti-seizure medicine for the stuff. And they actually wanted me to start collecting from the government for medical disability because there's like, you shouldn't even be driving a car because your brain is mush right now. But I went to work every day because I had to. I would not, I'm not collecting from the government. And so I had the surgery. I was working 6 days a week, 12 to 14 hours a day. My dogs would like want to bite me. They didn't know who I was. They thought I was a stranger. My kids called me uncle. When I had the surgery, that's when I came to the realization.
Maybe you were.
That my family was far more important. Holy crap, I look like my uncle. No, my kids look like me.
It's when you had your extra zero moment. Like, the only way this would be worth it is if there was a literal extra zero to make this 7 figures so that after 3 to 5 years, I could retire and I don't have to do this for 3 to 5 years. So I wouldn't quite die and I would have enough saved up to where it would be worth it for me to almost kill myself. But it doesn't have an extra zero. It has good money. It has good money. But
and I love that analogy because there are times where I'm still like, this really, I need another zero for this to be worth you talking to me like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I came to the realization that my family was far more important. And being the big boss didn't mean crap because I could die tomorrow. They would literally wheel me out in the ambulance and have someone coming in and sitting in my chair.
Mm-hmm. Because they have to.
They have to. Exactly. And I don't blame them. It's business, right? If your store manager passed away, you would be sad, but you would have to replace him because you need another store manager.
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't say, all right, we're going to shut the business down. He's not here anymore. Right.
Right.
So it's the same thing. I'm a sales guy. I'm home with my family. If I was to pass away, it would impact this greatly here. So I feel this here is far more important. So I must spend all the time I can here with my bride and my kids. They're not all here, but I wish they all were, but no, I don't. No, that'd be too many kids in the house. But you know what I'm saying? I love seeing them as much as I do. And I love the fact that and I'm going off on a little tangent, but the brain surgery was the wake up moment. Literally, I had to have brain surgery, then I had a stroke, and then I had to have surgery again. And it was basically God saying, guess what, bro? Sit down. Sit down and take time to figure your crap out. Because guess what? You're going in a whole different direction.
Yep.
You don't got to be the big dog anymore. And
you don't want to be the big dog.
I don't miss it. If someone called me up and if my friend who runs the dealership out on the coast where we bought our trucks called up and said, hey man, I need a desk manager. I'm going to pay you $150,000 a year, but I need you to work weekends again and this, that, and the other thing, close and blah, blah, blah. I'd be like, nope. We'll give you a car. Nope. Not doing it. I can't. We'll give you 200,000. Maybe. But you know what I'm saying? It's just not worth it. I'm actually looking to retire. I want to retire. I'm done. I'd like to retire. And I'm semi-retired now. Or I'm semi-retarded. I don't remember.
Oh, you can be both.
I am probably both.
Me too.
But versus I'm just tired. Maybe that's what it is. So guys, the biggest thing I can give to you in my rant and rave about everything I talked about tonight is love yourself, love life, and if you don't love what you're doing, change it immediately. Because if you don't love what you're doing, you're not going to love life and you're not going to love yourself and you'll just be a miserable bastard. So put 3 things that you have to love: life, yourself, and your job. And if they can't be matched up, 86 it.
And there's one thing to love above all that would be God.
Yes. It goes Jesus, God, Jesus, then my wife.
Yep.
Then my family.
Then
my friends, then work.
And you're somewhere in between.
Yeah. Well, as my dad used to say, son, you're not conceited, you're convinced.
2 points to overcome that failure mentality. And I've got the first one down, and the second one I think is more of it's an inner journey, and no amount of books will help you there, even though a leadership development organization wants to fix it with books. I've read every book there is. It's fantastic. I have some great ones. But number one, just execute. Okay. So like today, I did not feel like executing at all. It sucked. But before I came on the show, you knew what my mentality was this morning. Yep. I deliberately executed for the hour and a half before the show.
Just to come over and execute you.
Execute or be executed. Sam Parker, great book. Read it. But execution, like for me, so like making dials, scheduling appointments, running appointments, executing the profit producing or revenue producing portions of your job will get you out of that. And then getting you into the passion is really having a massive belief in yourself. And that, I think that's what you said, Zach, like just knowing yourself, being yourself and being comfortable with yourself. And that scripting and everything that's already wound and woven into that. And then the last thing I want to add is just that Zach and I met by you being my customer. So
right. That's right.
So that's how natural this friendship is at this point, which it's been 2.5 years, maybe, right? A while.
Yeah.
So but that
we've gotten at least 4 or 5 cars tinted with you and a couple of details.
But before becoming official friends, the relationship was very natural.
Yes.
And that's when I was at the store a lot more and I was taking the time and I developed that relationship with you. I developed a great relationship with Chris, with Brian. There's probably 10 people I have a really close relationship. You're obviously by far my closest most intimate friend, share faith and all that kind of stuff and struggles. But, there's probably 10 people that like I really had created that with naturally long term.
Right.
And then a bajillion people just naturally just by saying, "Hey, I'm here." And literally the number one thing people ask me is literally, "You're the owner, aren't you?" And it's just because I naturally know my place in that business and I'm picking up the scrap off the floor and it's the posture you have. And it's the posture I have is I know what needs to be done. I know what needs to get done. I know what needs to be said, what doesn't need to be said, just because I'm responsible for it. And so that's the number one statement people make to me, honestly, after speaking just for a few minutes. "You're the owner, aren't you?" And I'll just be like, "Yeah." Anyway,
Funny you say that posture.
it's just part of that.
When I was in the restaurant business, when I was general manager at Buffalo Wild Wings, um, I'll never forget one night. It was a busy night, and the owner was there, and there was another GM from another store there, and there was one of my managers, and we were standing against the wall, and we were talking, and someone walks up to me and goes, "Hey, are you the owner?" I said, "Yeah. How can I help you?" And we went over and talked for a minute. I came back, and the other GM says, "You called yourself the owner in front of the owner." And I looked at Andy and I said, "Did you want me to introduce you?" And he's like, "Zach did exactly what he's supposed to do. He owns this restaurant, and everybody on the floor knows he does by how he walks and
That's an
talks."
interesting dynamic because my manager, he doesn't do that. He'll say the owner and I are consistent with our policies or whatever. You know what? Because
No, see, I'd keep the owner in the background. He doesn't need to be
well,
worried
that
about
he
it.
does for that exact same reason. He gets me involved with very little because he knows I hire him to handle that because I'm handling other things, and he has a respect for that. I will say this as an owner, the hardest part is giving up that little ego to say, or that little demon talking in your head saying, "Is this guy going around purporting he's the owner to everyone he knows?" And no, seriously, like my previous manager used to do that. And I'll get these people on Facebook groups like, "Can you believe Turboton's doing this? I know the owner. I'm in Dallas." And I'm like, "I don't go into Dallas for anything. I
Yeah.
don't know you."
No. Yeah. See, you got to, and Andy told me that he trusted that I would not use it as a
Right,
false,
right, right. So you have to
It
trust that
wasn't like I was
person.
trying to pick up chicks because I own the joint. No, I
You have to
was.
trust that that person is saying that because they're taking such ownership of the job that they are responsible for the operations so that you can actually own and grow the business.
So take ownership. Take ownership of your life. Take ownership of your business. Take ownership of yourself.
Point at them.
So
Yeah.
I am on point. Where's the camera? There it is. You.
I want you to serve.
So we forgot to do this earlier, but if you like what you're listening to tonight, like, subscribe, share. But
You're still awake.
if you're still here and this is something you enjoy, I'm launching another podcast, which is just going to be me as a coach. And it's going to be a very short tidbits, some of my crazy stories that I'm going to bring with analogies and why they work and what they can do for you. I don't know where you went, Derek, but you
It's
went
because
away.
it's your show now.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
And so I'm gonna be doing so as part of the No Brainer family. So there's Political No Brainer, there's No Brainer Pod show, which is this show, and the new show is going to be called No Brainer Podcasting. It's going to be teaching people how to podcast and why salespeople and former on-air personalities and anybody who wants to get into this business, why they should and how they can make money doing it and have a lot of fun doing it. So one of my things is my background, my degree is in broadcasting, and I was an on-air personality for a little while, and I turned over to sales, and I probably should have stayed in radio sales, but anyway, that's a dying breed. Um, but so I'm going after that market. It's going to be a new show coming out very, very soon, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So if you want motivation, fun, anecdotes, and just stuff that we can, and I'm going to be doing mastermind classes and groups, and we're just going to have a lot of fun. So stay tuned because No Brainer Podcasting will be coming to a camera near you.
To a
Camera
camera store?
screen. I almost said a camera store. What the heck?
To
To
a
a
camera
screen.
store, to a Whitmark RVC authorized dealer near you.
Crazy Eddie. Oh, you guys didn't have Crazy Eddies up in Michigan. We had them in
Nah,
New
we have
York.
Whitmark.
Crazy Eddies.
Crazy
No,
idiots.
no, no. To a monitor near you. So I'm getting tired. That's why I'm talking
All right.
gibberish.
Yeah, I gotta eat some food, bro.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. We had a blast. I'm glad we had this show. It was
Me
really
too.
debatable. We were debating whether or not to do a show tonight, and Derek said, "Dude, let's do it. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna interview you." Who knew? I
Who
said
knew?
you.
Raise the
So
roof.
again, thanks for watching. We love you. We appreciate you. Like, subscribe, tell a friend, tell somebody, and until next time, love you. Peace.